Chapter 424. Changing hands, oh no! Seeing that the sword ray was about to hit him, the fourth prince's expression changed, and he tried to summon his flying sword. Whoosh! The fourth prince had obviously underestimated the speed of the sword ray. Before he could summon his flying sword, the sword ray had already left a mark on his cheek. Damn it! I'm going to... Touching the bloody mark on his cheek, the fourth prince's eyes widened and his face revealed a vicious expression. However, before he could finish his sentence, Hong Mo's figure flashed and appeared in front of him. Bang! This time, Hong Mo's attack was very simple and violent. He landed a punch on the fourth prince's chest. The huge force caused the fourth prince's body to fall back a few feet, and he was at the edge of the ring. Having succeeded in his attack, Hong Mo slowly walked towards the fourth prince, and not long after, he was beside the fourth prince. If you can't even beat me, how are you going to fight Ningyu? Hong Mo extended his palm and tapped the fourth prince's chest. He then lifted his right leg and kicked the fourth prince off the ring. Swoosh! Everything that had happened in the arena had happened too quickly. Before the surrounding cultivators could react, the fourth prince had already been defeated. Watching Hong Mo walk off the ring, the surrounding martial artists' mouths were slightly agape, and their faces were full of disbelief. They never thought that a genius as strong as the fourth prince of the Lanqin kingdom would be defeated by Hong Mo in a few moves. If that was the case, how powerful was Ningyu? Ningyu's strength is probably infinitely close to the pinnacle of the primal core stage. Almost. Hong Mo could easily defeat the fourth prince of the Lanqin kingdom. If Ningyu were to fight, he would only need one move at most, or maybe not even one, to defeat the fourth prince. No wonder he's a core disciple of the sacred college of Danwu College. He's really strong. Of course, Danwu College is the best college in the Xia Kingdom. Every student in the sacred college is 1 in a million. How can someone who isn't strong enter the sacred college? The fourth prince of the Blue-Green Nation, has suffered a double loss. What a disgrace. Isn't that so? Including him, the 4 cultivators who came to challenge Wu Ta City were all defeated. The mocking words of the surrounding martial artists reached the ears of the fourth prince of the Blue-Green Nation, causing his face to turn ashen. He wanted nothing more than to find a piece of tofu and kill himself. Lu Lizhi, Li Minggang, and Shui Wu Tian were defeated one after another, and now, even he was defeated by Hong Mo. If news of this got back to Lanqin country, how would he be able to establish himself? Fourth prince, why don't we return to the kingdom of Lanqin first, then we can discuss this further. Li Minggang hurriedly ran to the fourth prince's side and said hesitantly, also, Lu Lizhi's injury, scram? Trash will always be trash. What's the point of me raising you? Before Li Minggang could finish his sentence, the fourth prince berated, Get ready, we're going to the capital. Why are we going to the capital? Li Minggang continued to ask. Bang! The fourth prince kicked Li Minggang's butt and said angrily, I told you to go, so go. What's with the nonsense? Yes, I'll go prepare now. Glancing at Lu Lizhi, who was not far away, Li Minggang secretly prayed to himself and hurriedly left the square. Ningyu, I'll get my revenge sooner or later. Taking a deep breath, the fourth prince clenched his fists tightly and looked at Ningyu and the others who were gradually disappearing from his sight. The veins on his arms bulged as he said coldly, Danwu College, Sacred Institute, core disciple, swoosh. At the same time, Ningyu had already brought Xikong Ling and the others to an inn and chose a quiet room to stay in. Ningyu, how confident are you in changing Xikong Ling's hand? Feng Zi paced back and forth with a surprised expression on his face. When he heard that Ningyu was going to change Xikong Ling's hand, his mouth opened wide enough to fit a fist. He was extremely shocked. Changing hands was not a joke. The slightest carelessness would result in a backlash. If it was light, he would lose an arm. If it was heavy, he might die on the spot. 60%, Ningyu said in a low voice. The palm of the blessed realm was not an ordinary palm. Its blood and Sikong Ling's repelled each other. It had to suppress the blood in the palm in order to complete the fusion. Feng Zi was right. The slightest carelessness would result in the danger of backlash. The reason why Su Xingyan could easily change hands was because he forced out a drop of his blood essence and dripped it on the blessed realm's palm every day. Su Xingyan had long gotten used to the blood in the blessed realm's palm. Otherwise, there was no need for Ningyu to make a move back then. Su Xingyan would have suffered a backlash. 60% is enough. I believe in Ningyu. At worst, I'll just lose an arm. I can still accept it. Sikong Ling gritted his teeth. No problem. You guys go out first. I'm going to start changing Sikong Ling's hand. Ningyu waved his hand, motioning for Feng Zi and the others to leave. I hope you can succeed. We will stand guard for you. No one will disturb you. With a light sigh, Feng Zi, Xiao Yu, and the others left the room. They were not stupid. They knew that changing hands could not be disturbed. Otherwise, all their previous efforts would be in vain. So after leaving the room, Feng Zi and Xiao Yu stood on both sides of the door, guarding the room like door gods. Hong Mo, give me the medicinal ingredient. You go out and stand guard for me too. Ningyu did not want to waste time. This was the perfect time to let Sun Jiangwen refine the antidote and expel the heart-devouring pill's effects from Lu Wei's body. Swoosh! Hong Mo casually threw the medicinal ingredients to Ningyu. Keep the Red Fiend's sword with you. If you encounter any danger, you can still block it. Seeing that Hong Mo was about to throw the Red Fiend's sword to him, Ningyu said, "And be careful." Hong Mo was not an indecisive person. He immediately kept the Red Fiend's sword and rushed out of the room. After Hong Mo left, Ningyu threw the medicinal ingredients into the storage ring and said to Sun Jiangwen, "Can I refine the antidote inside?" "No problem, as long as there are enough origin crystals," Sun Jiangwen said after pondering for a moment. The space in the storage ring was not small. The only thing lacking was the lack of origin qi. As long as there was enough origin qi, Sun Jiangwen had absolute confidence in refining the heart-devouring pill's antidote. Origin crystals are not a problem. You can use these. Ningyu moved his soul and controlled a small pile of origin crystals to fly to Sun Jiangwen's side. Don't worry. I will be able to refine a furnace of heart-devouring pill's antidote by evening at most. Sun Jiangwen promised as he looked at the origin crystals in front of him. Focus on refining the antidote. Don't look for me if there's nothing particularly important. After explaining everything to Sun Jiangwen, Ningyu took out the creation state palm that he had obtained from Su Xingyan. Hiss! Feeling the powerful pressure emanating from the palm, Sikong Ling could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. What kind of palm is this? How can it possess such powerful pressure? This pressure even caused Sikong Ling to be unable to breathe and his entire body to tremble. Ningyu, this is... Sikong Ling asked doubtfully as he resisted the pressure coming from the palm. This is the palm of a creation state martial artist. Don't worry, I have an 80% chance of changing it for you. Don't be nervous. Chapter 425. The antidote, Ningyu, I'm not nervous. What I mean is, what kind of palm is this? Sikong Ling pointed at the palm in Ningyu's hand and asked. Oh, you're talking about this. Waving the palm, Ningyu said, this is the palm of a manifestation realm martial artist. I obtained it by chance. Ningyu didn't tell Sikong Ling about the origin of this palm. After all, he didn't want Sikong Ling to know that he killed the genius of the corpse sex ghost talent hall. No, this palm is too precious. I can't take it. After knowing that the palm belonged to a manifestation realm martial artist, Sikong Ling quickly shook his head and said, You should keep the palm of a manifestation realm martial artist for yourself. It's too wasteful for me to use. Above the origin core realm was the yin-yang realm. The peak of the yin-yang realm had to overcome the manifestation realm tribulation before advancing to the manifestation realm. Manifestation realm martial artists were very rare. At least on the surface, there were only 2 manifestation realm martial artists in the Great Xia Kingdom. One was the ancestor of Danwu College, and the other was the ancestor of the imperial family. Apart from these 2 manifestation realm martial artists, there might be other manifestation realm martial artists in the Great Xia Kingdom, but this was enough to show the rarity of manifestation realm martial artists. I asked you to use it, so just use it. What nonsense are you spouting? Ningyu was a little angry and scolded. It might be a little painful later. You better bear with it and don't scream. Otherwise, I'll beat you until all your teeth fall out. As he spoke, Ningyu released his powerful soul force and set up a soul force barrier in the room. Although there were Hong Mo and the others guarding outside, Ningyu still didn't feel at ease. Swapping hands was different from other things. Once it was disturbed, all previous efforts would be wasted. Therefore, for safety's sake, Ningyu set up a soul force barrier to ensure that it wouldn't be disturbed. Get ready. I'm going to chop off your palm next. After doing all this, Ningyu flicked his wrist and the soul-severing sword appeared in his hand. Go ahead, I can endure, hiss. Sikong Ling gratefully looked at Ningyu and said in a low voice. However, before Sikong Ling was ready, the soul-breaking sword in Ningyu's hand slashed down from the sky and directly chopped off his right hand. The intense pain from his wrist caused Sikong Ling to be slightly dazed. Seal off the blood on your right wrist. I'm going to reattach your blessed realm palm. At this moment, Ningyu's loud shout rang in Sikong Ling's ears. Sikong Ling shuddered and did not dare to be negligent. He hurriedly circulated his mental cultivation method and sealed off the blood on his right wrist. Ka. In the next moment, Ningyu placed his blessed realm palm on Sikong Ling's right arm and separated a few wisps of soul force from his body to help Sikong Ling take over. Ningyu's movements were very slow. He carefully combed each and every one of his tendons, not daring to be careless. Tick-tock, tick-tock. With the elapse of time, the sweat on Ningyu's forehead increased, to the extent that it directly dripped onto the floor and let out dripping sounds. All of this did not affect Ningyu. Every step he took was done very slowly, striving to complete it in one go. While Ningyu was helping Sikong Ling switch hands, outside Wu Ta City, a few martial artists were walking towards Wu Ta City with faces full of rage. Damn it, we let him escape. One of the slightly plump martial artists had a face full of rage as he said, if we had received the Hall Master's message earlier, we could have surrounded and killed the Great Xia Kingdom's crown prince at Wu Ta City immediately. We wouldn't have needed to wait for him to leave before chasing. You better speak less. If the Hall Master were to hear it, we might not be able to bear the consequences. Another martial artist hurriedly said. Hurry up and go back. The martial artist with the highest cultivation said in a deep voice, with the 4 branch Hall Masters being killed this time, we might have already been exposed. In my opinion, it's better to first contact the Alchemy Master Hall Master, and then immediately shift. That's right, shift quickly. Go! Swish. These few martial artists instantly sped up and flashed past Wu Ta City's entrance, vanishing from sight. Time flew by. In a blink of an eye, 2 hours had passed. Huff. Inside the room, Ningyu slowly withdrew his soul force from Sikong Ling's palm and let out a long breath. His taut nerves relaxed all at once. After 2 hours of busy work, he finally helped Sikong Ling reconnect the Creation Realm martial artist's palm. Although there were still some minor flaws, it did not hinder normal use. As long as Sikong Ling did not rashly use his right hand in the next 3 days, there would not be any major problems. Ningyu, I really have a Creation Realm martial artist's palm? Raising his right hand, Sikong Ling had a look of disbelief all over his face. He did not think that there would be a day when he could also possess a Creation Realm martial artist's palm. Remember, it's best not to use your right hand in the next 3 days. Otherwise, it's very likely that your qi and blood will flow in reverse, causing this palm to be crippled. Ningyu nodded and warned. No problem. Don't mention 3 days, even if it's 10 days, I can still endure it, Sikong Ling said in pleasant surprise. In the future, there might be some rejection in the process of using it. But don't worry, this is all a normal reaction. It'll be fine after a period of time. Ningyu continued. Ningyu, the heart-devouring pill's antidote is refined. The first cauldron refined 3 antidotes. Suddenly, Sun Jiangwen's voice sounded in Ningyu's mind. Hearing that, Ningyu was first startled, then his face revealed a look of joy. Originally, he thought that Sun Jiangwen would only be able to refine the heart-devouring pill's antidote in the evening. Who would have thought that only 2 hours had passed and Sun Jiangwen refined the antidote? Did you help Lu Wei take it? Ningyu's consciousness sunk into the storage ring and asked. Without your instructions, I dare not make the decision, Sun Jiangwen said. Sikong Ling, you go out first. I need to recuperate. Ningyu was not in a hurry to check the antidote. Instead, he said to Sikong Ling, let Hong Mo in. Feng Zi and Xiao, you don't need to guard outside the door. Let them go down and rest. I'll call them if there's anything. No problem. You rest well. Sikong Ling knew that Ningyu had expended quite a bit, so he directly left the room. Creak. Not long after, Hong Mo entered the room. Sun Jiangwen, you guys can come out. Seeing Hong Mo enter, Ningyu gave Hong Mo a look and immediately threw the storage ring into the air. Crash. In the next instant, 3 figures came out of the storage ring and landed in the room. And? What's going on? Outside the room, Feng Zi's brows were tightly knitted, revealing a puzzled look. After Sikong Ling and Xiao Yu left, he did not leave immediately but stood outside the door, wanting to see what Ningyu was doing inside. Who would have thought that with a casual wave of Hong Mo's hand, his perception would be blocked, turning him into a blind man. Feng Zi, if you want to come in, you can come in and take a look. What's there to stay outside for? Ningyu's voice quietly sounded beside Feng Zi's ear, causing Feng Zi's mouth to gape slightly, feeling slightly awkward. Chapter 426. Chapter 426. Feng Family Creek. Taking a deep breath, Feng Zi pushed open the door and walked in. Swoosh. Just entering the room, Feng Zi's mouth gaped slightly, as if he had seen a ghost. Who are these 3 martial artists? Feng Zi rubbed his eyes and pointed at the 3 martial artists beside Ningyu, asking doubtfully. Feng Zi remembered very clearly that when he left the room, there was only Ningyu and Sikong Ling inside, and there were absolutely no other 3 martial artists. What was going on? Why did 3 martial artists suddenly appear? And who were they? A series of questions appeared in Feng Zi's mind, making him somewhat dumbfounded. Swoosh. Swoosh. Just as Feng Zi was in a daze, 2 figures flashed consecutively and landed steadily on either side of him. The Red Fiend, Sun Jiangwen. After getting Ningyu's approval, the Red Fiend and Sun Jiangwen surrounded Feng Zi. Ningyu, what's the meaning of this? Seeing the figures on both sides, Feng Zi's heart thumped. Speak, what's your real identity? Actually, the moment he agreed to let Feng Zi enter the room, Ningyu was already prepared to get to the bottom of it. Which was to say, unless Feng Zi revealed his identity, he could forget about leaving here today. I'm a true blue Wu Tuo city citizen, an unemployed vagrant, Feng Zi said without batting an eyelid. Looks like you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Ningyu said, wave-splitting palm is a high-grade heaven-level martial technique. You're just an unemployed early primal core stage. How could you possibly obtain such a precious martial technique? Don't tell me you picked it up under some cliff. This, Ningyu's analysis was clear and logical. Feng Zi felt very awkward. After thinking about it, Feng Zi gritted his teeth and said, to tell you the truth, I'm from the Feng family of Lanqing country. My real name is not Feng Zi, but Feng Xing. What? Feng Xing? Before Ning Yu could say anything, Lu Wei, who was standing beside him, yelled out, "You are the third young master of the Feng clan, Feng Xing?" "That's right, I am Feng Xing, but I am not the third young master of the Feng clan. I have already been expelled from the clan." Feng Zi said, "Right now, my name is Feng Zi, and I will be called Feng Zi in the future." Feng clan. Ning Yu was puzzled. The status of the Feng clan in the Lanqing Kingdom is equivalent to the status of Danwu College in the Great Xia Kingdom. Lu Wei explained. The Feng clan's influence is spread all over the Lanqing Kingdom. They can even contend against the Lanqing royal family. What can prove your identity? Ning Yu still did not trust Feng Zi. After all, what they were going to do next was very important. If Feng Zi leaked the news, the consequences would be unimaginable. "I can't prove my identity. If you want to kill me or dismember me, do as you please." Feng Zi seemed to have given up and said indifferently, "I originally wanted to give you a great fortune, but since you said so, I have no choice but to leave you here." Ning Yu gave Hong Mo and Sun Jiangwen a meaningful glance, signaling them to take Feng Zi down. "Wait!" Seeing this, Feng Zi's mind trembled and his true nature was exposed. He quickly said, "What great fortune? Can you tell me first?" "Haha, I knew you would be like this." With a faint smile, Ning Yu said, "Are you interested in robbing?" "Fuck robbing? I am a gentleman, how could robbing?" Feng Zi repeatedly shook his head, acting like an obedient child. "Robbing the corpse sect," Ning Yu said in a deep voice. However, after hearing Ning Yu's words, Feng Zi's expression changed faster than flipping a book. He quickly said, "Are you really going to rob the corpse sect? Count me in. The reason I was expelled from the Feng clan is because of those corpse sect bastards." "Tell me about it." Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and calmly said, "Ah, it's all in the past, let's not talk about it." With a sigh, Feng Zi said, "Tell me, which corpse sect branch hall are you going to rob?" "Let's put the matter of robbing the corpse sect aside for now. Right now, I have something important to do." Waving his hand, Ning Yu took out a jade bottle from his chest pocket. Inside the jade bottle were 3 pills. The antidote for the heart-devouring pill. Sun Jiangwen had refined a total of 3 antidotes for the heart-devouring pill. Ning Yu didn't have time to check them earlier, so now was the right time to check the authenticity of these antidotes. Ning Yu separated a bit of his soul force into the antidote. After a while, he withdrew his soul force. "Lu Wei, there is no problem with the antidote. Take it first." Ning Yu handed an antidote to Lu Wei and said. After taking the antidote, Lu Wei didn't hesitate and took it on the spot. After taking the antidote, Lu Wei stared at Ning Yu and hesitantly asked, "Can you give me the remaining antidotes?" "No problem. If you need them, I'll ask Sun Jiangwen to refine a few more." Ning Yu threw the remaining 2 antidotes to Lu Wei and casually said, "Ning Yu, I want to go back to the capital now." After accepting the 2 antidotes, Lu Wei bit her lips and whispered, "I'm worried about you going back alone." Ning Yu didn't even think about it and refused Lu Wei. With Lu Wei's current strength, if something happened to her on the road, he wouldn't even have tears to cry. "I want to go back to Snow Pavilion. My father and mother are still trapped there," Lu Wei stubbornly said, not giving in at all. "This is a bit troublesome." Ning Yu thought about it and then said to Feng Zi, "Go call Xikong Ling and Xiao Yu over. I have something to ask them." "Let me go call them." Looking left and right, Feng Zi pointed at his nose and said, "If it's not you, who else can it be?" Ning Yu said, "Hurry up, don't make me rush you." "All right." Helpless, Feng Zi could only dejectedly leave the room. After a while, Feng Zi returned, followed by Xikong Ling and Xiao Yu. "Xikong Ling, did anything big happen in Snow Pavilion recently?" Seeing Xikong Ling and the others come in, Ning Yu went straight to the point and asked. Xikong Ling was stunned but still replied, "Nothing big happened. It's just that Snow Pavilion's deputy pavilion master has been missing for a long time, causing chaos in Snow Pavilion. That's right, a group of mysterious forces took advantage of the situation and firmly took control of Snow Pavilion. Next to him, Xiao Yu saw Lu Wei and a look of surprise appeared on her face, but she quickly concealed it and continued. As for Snow Pavilion's current pavilion master and pavilion master's wife, that is, Lu Wei's father and mother, they are fine. Mysterious forces. Ningyu frowned slightly and asked, "Do you know who it is?" "I'm not clear about the specifics, but I can conclude that the mysterious force is related to the imperial family." First shaking her head, Lu Wei then said with certainty, "Before coming to Wu Ta City, I happened to see a martial artist leave Snow Pavilion and enter the imperial family." After pondering for a moment, Ningyu said, "Xiao Yu, Xikong Ling, you two take Lu Wei back to the capital first." "Ningyu, you're not going back with us?" Lu Wei hurriedly said. "I still have some things to do in Wu Ta City. Once I'm done, I'll immediately rendezvous with you in the capital." Ningyu said in a deep voice, "Xikong Ling, Xiao Yu, Lu Wei's safety is in your hands." Chapter 427. Chapter 427. Green Wolf Gang, Ningyu, wait for me. After a brief moment of confusion, Feng Zi chased after him. Immediately, Hong Mo, Sun Jiangwen, and the alchemist temple master also followed closely and left the room. After Ningyu and the others left the originally lively room, only Xikong Ling, Xiao Yu, and Lu Wei were left. The three of them looked at each other, obviously still in a daze. Swish. "Sun Jiangwen, are you sure the Green Wolf Gang is the alchemist temple's lair in Wu Ta City?" On the streets of Wu Ta City, several martial artists walked side by side. Among them, Ningyu frowned slightly puzzled. In Wu Ta City there were three major underground forces: Green Wolf Gang, Death Arena, and Iron Tree Gate. Green Wolf Gang was the most powerful among these three underground forces. It was said that there were Yin-Yang realm martial artists in it. Green Wolf Gang is just a puppet cultivated by the Alchemist Temple. Their leader is at the intermediate Yin-Yang realm, so his position in the Alchemist Temple is not low. Sun Jiangwen affirmed. There should only be one or two Yin-Yang realm martial artists left in the Green Wolf Gang. Ningyu frowned. Hong Mo said that when he was buying medicinal ingredients, he met a few corpse sect martial artists, and one of them was at the intermediate Yin-Yang realm. At that time, those martial artists left Wu Ta City, so they shouldn't have returned yet. Right, how could I forget about him? Suddenly, Ningyu patted his head and said to the Alchemist Temple Master, "Contact the Alchemist Temple's powerhouses in Wu Ta City and see where they are." Hearing Ningyu's words, the Alchemist Temple Master didn't dare to be negligent. He quickly separated a portion of his soul force and began to contact the corpse sect powerhouses in Wu Ta City. After being tortured by Sun Jiangwen for a long time, the Alchemist Temple Master finally understood that people had to lower their heads under the eve. If he continued to be stubborn, it was very likely that he would suffer a second round of torture from Sun Jiangwen. Sun Jiangwen's torture methods were not for show. Dozens of vicious methods were used together. Not to mention a late Yin-Yang realm martial artist, even a peak Yin-Yang realm martial artist wouldn't be able to resist. Therefore, the Alchemist Temple Master obediently contacted the corpse sect powerhouses and didn't dare to be negligent. "Big brother, there's news of the Hall Master." At the same time, in the headquarters of the Green Wolf Gang in Wu Ta City, an early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist rushed into the hall and exclaimed in surprise. What did the Hall Master say? There were a total of 4 martial artists in the hall. 3 of them were at the initial Yin-Yang stage, and 1 was at the middle Yin-Yang stage. The middle stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist said in a deep voice, "Say it word by word." The Hall Master's exact words were, "Martial artists of Yin-Yang stage and above, wait for me at the entrance of the Green Wolf Gang. I'll be there immediately." The martial artist of Yin Yang stage repeated the words of the Hall Master of Alchemy. Big brother, the Iron Tree sect is attacking the Green Wolf gang outside. Do you think we should finish them off first? The slightly taller early Yin Yang realm martial artist asked hesitantly. Just half an hour ago, the Iron Tree Gate had suddenly launched a powerful attack on the Green Wolf gang. If they hadn't returned in time, the Green Wolf gang might have already been breached. This is a critical period. It's not appropriate for us to reveal our identities. The middle stage Yin Yang realm martial artist thought about it and then said, "How about this, you go out and stop the Iron Tree Gate's sect master first. We'll wait for the Hall Master here." "But the Hall Master wants us to wait for him at the entrance of the Green Wolf gang," the taller early Yin Yang realm martial artist said. "Extreme times call for extreme measures. I believe the Hall Master won't say anything," the middle stage Yin Yang realm martial artist said in a deep voice. "All right, I'll go out now." Helpless, the taller martial artist's figure flashed and he left the hall. At this time, the outside of the Green Wolf gang's entrance was already overcrowded. After the farce of the arena battle ended, the martial artists of Wu Ta City encountered another lively matter, and that was the Iron Tree Gate besieging the Green Wolf gang. The Iron Tree Gate and the Green Wolf gang are both powerful underground forces of Wu Ta City. Why are they having a conflict? You don't know about this, right? The Iron Tree Gate's sect master has advanced to the Yin Yang realm, so he wants to unify the underground forces of Wu Ta City. That's right. I heard that the upper echelons of the deathmatch arena were all killed and replaced with Iron Tree Gate martial artists. In that case, once the Iron Tree Gate deals with the Green Wolf gang, they will dominate Wu Ta City? Seeing the Iron Tree Gate's army pressing down, the surrounding martial artists discussed animatedly, as if this matter was nothing out of the ordinary. Actually, it was no wonder. Wu Ta City was originally rather chaotic, and conflicts between forces frequently occurred. They were long used to it. If it wasn't for the Iron Tree Gate and the Green Wolf gang, they would definitely not be here to watch the show, but would return to their homes and find their own mothers. "Bastards of the Green Wolf gang, your Grandpa Iron is here. Why aren't you coming out to welcome me?" In front of the Green Wolf gang's entrance, a tall martial artist said in a clear voice. Swish. As soon as the Iron Tree Gate's sect master's voice fell, a figure flew out from the Green Wolf gang's courtyard. This figure landed in front of the Iron Tree Gate's sect master and said coldly, "Old man Taizong, this is the Green Wolf gang. It's not a place for you to behave atrociously." "Deputy Sect Master of the Green Wolf gang, where's your sect master? Why isn't he coming out to welcome me?" Seeing that it wasn't the Green Wolf gang's sect master, Taizong raised his brows and said sinisterly, "I alone am enough to deal with you." Yuan Tong was very angry, very angry. The Alchemist Hall Master had sent back a message that he would immediately come to the Green Wolf gang. At this time, Taizong had come to act atrociously, which made him very angry. Therefore, he must teach Taizong a lesson. Swish. In the next moment, Yuan Tong's figure flashed and directly charged towards Taizong. "Come at me." Seeing Yuan Tong charging towards him, Taizong did not retreat. He took a step forward and fought with Yuan Tong. While Taizong and Yuan Tong were fighting, Ning Yu and the Red Devil sect had already arrived outside the Green Wolf gang and stopped at an inconspicuous place. Looking at the fierce battle not far away, Ning Yu slightly frowned and muttered, "One of them is a martial artist from the Corpse sect, at the early stage of the Yin Yang stage. As for the other one is also at the early stage of the Yin Yang stage, but he's not a martial artist from the Corpse sect, but someone from the Lan Qing nation." Before Ning Yu finished speaking, Feng Zi continued. However, Feng Zi clenched his fists tightly and his words were filled with anger. "Lan Qing nation?" Ning Yu was startled and asked doubtfully. "That's right, that martial artist's name is Taizong, and he's from the Feng clan of the Lan Qing nation," Feng Zi said while gnashing his teeth. Ning Yu was a little stunned. It was obvious that there was something unpleasant between Feng Zi and Tai Zong. Ning Yu, leave Tai Zong to me later. Feng Zi said coldly. You should tell me how Tai Zong offended you, right? Ning Yu asked. Taking a deep breath, Feng Zi forced himself to calm down and said, There were 2 reasons why I was forced to leave the Feng clan. The first was because of the corpse sect, and the second was because of Tai Zong and his master. I can only tell you this for now. Alright, but I have to remind you that Tai Zong is at the early stage of the yin-yang stage. With your current strength, it will be very difficult for you to contend against him. Chapter 428. Plot Feng Zi was only at the early Yuan Dan stage. Even if he used his trump card, it would be difficult for him to compete with an early yin-yang stage warrior. After all, there was a big gap between the early Yuan Dan stage and the early yin-yang stage. It would be very difficult for ordinary warriors to bridge this gap. Of course, Ning Yu was an exception. Ning Yu, do you want to capture that corpse sect martial artist? On the side, Hong Mo pointed at the corpse sect martial artist fighting with Tai Zong and asked, It's not good to alert the enemy now. Let's enter the Green Wolf gang first. After pondering for a bit, Ning Yu said, The rest of the corpse sect cultivators should be hidden inside the Green Wolf gang. If we act rashly here, the cultivators inside will definitely notice. At that time, the gains will not make up for the losses. That's right. There's also a powerful yin-yang stage warrior inside. Sun Jiangwen continued, When we subdue that yin-yang stage warrior, the early yin-yang stage warrior outside won't be a threat. There's no time to lose. Lead the way and we'll go in now, Ning Yu said in a deep voice. Ning Yu, I want to stay here. Feng Zi's attention was all on Tai Zong. He couldn't wait to kill Tai Zong. Therefore, he didn't enter the Green Wolf gang with Ning Yu and the others. Instead, he chose to stay here. Ning Yu didn't force him and directly entered the Green Wolf gang with Hong Mo and the others. In the main hall of the Green Wolf gang, there was a yin-yang stage warrior sitting at the head of the table. Below him, there were 3 warriors standing side by side. This stronghold is no longer safe. We need to move as soon as possible. The middle stage yin-yang realm martial artist's gaze slowly swept across the hall and finally landed on a slightly fat martial artist. He said in a deep voice, Ma Wei, pack up all the magic treasures and elixirs in this stronghold. We will set off in 2 hours. Ing Feng, go out and help Yuan Tong. You must get rid of Tai Zong as soon as possible. Shi Rinshan, go to the City Lord's mansion and kill the City Lord of Wu Tuo City. The middle stage yin-yang realm martial artist gave orders without any hesitation. The imperial family had likely taken measures against the corpse sect, so it wouldn't make sense for them to be afraid. Therefore, before leaving, he decided to do something big. Hee Wang Haiba, you're very bold. How dare you give orders when I'm not here? Just as Ma Wei and the others were about to leave the hall, a faint laughter sounded from outside. After that, a familiar figure slowly walked in from outside the hall. Palace Master? Seeing this familiar figure, all the cultivators in the hall revealed a look of surprise. In particular, Wang Haiba, a middle-stage yin-yang stage martial artist, hurriedly got down from his seat and came to the side of the alchemist hall master. He respectfully said, I didn't know that the hall master had arrived. I apologize for not going out to greet you. Cut the crap. Bring me to the treasury. I want to check the magic treasures and pills inside. The alchemist hall master's tone was cold as he berated. Hearing the alchemist hall master's words, Wang Haiba did not dare to be negligent. He hurriedly walked to a corner of the hall, gathered essence around his wrist, and pushed against the stone wall. Creak! Suddenly, the stone wall caved in and a long and narrow passage appeared in front of everyone. Hall master, please. Wang Hai made a gesture of invitation. Without any hesitation, the apothecary hall master stepped into the passageway. As for Wang Haiba, He quietly gestured to the other 3 cultivators in the hall before following the alchemist palace master into the passage. After the alchemist hall master and the others disappeared, the 3 cultivators in the hall exchanged glances with each other. Soon after, they rose from the ground and flew outside. At first, the passage was narrow, but as they went deeper, it gradually became wider. Not long after, the alchemist palace master and Wang Haiba arrived at the end of the passage. At the end of the passage was a stone room. Wang Haiba took out a key and opened the stone room. Palace master, before we enter the stone room, can you tell me how the other 4 palace masters died? However, before the alchemist palace master entered the stone room, Wang Haiba asked, "Why didn't you return to the corpse sect's headquarters and instead came to Wu Tuo City? Could it be?" At this point, the corner of Wang Haiba's mouth rose slightly and he continued, "You betrayed the corpse sect. Impudent." The alchemist palace master's face instantly became gloomy and he coldly said, "Nonsense. I am the alchemist palace master. You are just a small branch manager. How dare you speak to me like this?" "Sir Palace Master, don't pretend." With a sneer, Wang Haiba said, 10 minutes ago, the corpse sect's headquarters issued an order to capture you as soon as they see you. I have already given you face by not capturing you in front of Ma Wei and the others." The alchemist palace master scolded, "You want to rebel against the corpse sect?" I don't want to rebel against the corpse sect. It's just that the other 4 palace masters were killed and you were able to escape. Don't you think it's a bit of a coincidence?" Wang Haiba laughed. "Besides, the second time you sent a message to the headquarters, the Great Xia Kingdom's crown prince had already left Wu Tuo City. If you had sent a message earlier, we would have definitely captured him. But you didn't." Suddenly, the alchemist palace master calmed down and became abnormally calm. He faintly smiled and said, "Wang Haiba, do you think you can defeat me? Right now, your strength should be less than 1/10 of your peak, right? And I am at the intermediate yin-yang stage. If I want to capture you, isn't it?" "What?" Wang Haiba raised his brows and before he finished speaking, his face was filled with disbelief. Voila! 3 figures suddenly appeared in front of the alchemist palace master. Swoosh! 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 The 3 figures were none other than Ningyu, the Red Devil, and Sun Jiangwen. The 3 of them had hidden in the storage ring and were led into the passage by the alchemist palace master. Originally, Ningyu wanted to launch a surprise attack when Wang Haiba was unprepared, but since Wang Haiba was already suspicious, there was no need to continue hiding. Therefore, after coming out of the storage ring, Ningyu and the others immediately launched their attack. Revolving Palm. Red Devil Sword Ray. Soul Attack. 3 low roars accompanied by 3 powerful attacks appeared in front of Wang Haiba in the blink of an eye. Damn it! The sudden change was clearly out of Wang Haiba's expectations. He knew that the alchemist palace master was likely to betray them, but he did not expect that he would bring 3 helpers. Earth Uppercut. Without any time to think, Wang Haiba immediately gathered Yuan Qi on his wrist and threw out 3 punches. Qi, qi, qi. A crisp sound rang out, and Wang Haiba's body fell backward like a kite with a broken string. Bang! Wang Haiba's body hit the stone wall, and he felt a sweetness in his throat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 429. Tree of the World Whoosh. Ningyu didn't stop after his first attack. Instead, he launched another attack. Ningyu's principle when it came to dealing with his enemies was to hit where it hurt. Wang Haiba was at the middle stage of the yin-yang stage. If he was allowed to recover, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, after Ningyu gained the upper hand, he didn't dare to be careless and immediately launched a second attack. Damn it! Wang Haiba didn't even have time to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth. He slammed his hands on the ground and dashed forward. Crack! Fortunately, Wang Haiba dodged in time. Otherwise, this powerful attack from Ning Yu would have been enough to make him suffer. Humph. You don't even have a yin-yang stage martial artist and you still want to defeat me? After dodging Ning Yu's attack, Wang Haiba snorted coldly and said, "Today, I will let you know the power of a middle-stage yin-yang stage martial artist." As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Haiba released his aura, which was divided into 3 parts and crazily pressed against Ning Yu and the others. The strength of an early-stage 6th-grade soul force. Feeling the powerful aura from Wang Haiba, Ning Yu's eyes narrowed slightly and he was slightly surprised. A middle-stage yin-yang stage cultivation and an early-stage 6th-grade soul force, even in Danwu College and the imperial family, it was enough to be a high-ranking person. In the corpse sect, he was only in charge of a small branch. From this, it could be seen how powerful the corpse sect was. Sun Jiangwen. Ning Yu shouted and ordered, "Let him experience the true meaning of soul force." Understood. Sun Jiangwen had been waiting for this moment. After getting Ning Yu's approval, his peak 7th-grade soul force poured out and pressed against Wang Haiba unscrupulously. "What? Your soul force has reached the peak of 7th grade?" As soon as Sun Jiangwen used his soul force, Wang Haiba's expression changed drastically and he was dumbfounded. He had originally thought that Sun Jiangwen was just an unknown martial artist at the pinnacle of the primal core stage. Who would have thought that his soul power had reached the pinnacle of the 7th grade? Suddenly, Wang Haiba's eyes widened. Pointing at Sun Jiangwen, he exclaimed, "You're a peak 7th grade alchemist. Could it be that you're the chief alchemist of the Alchemist Hall?" Sun Jiangwen. Actually, it was no wonder that Wang Haiba didn't know Sun Jiangwen. He was stationed in Wuta City all year round, and he'd only heard of the head alchemist of the Alchemist Hall, Sun Jiangwen, and had never seen him in person. If not for the presence of the Master of Alchemy Division, he would not have associated this primal core pinnacle warrior with Sun Jiangwen. Since the Alchemist Temple Master had betrayed the corpse sect, then it was very likely that Sun Jiangwen had also betrayed the corpse sect. "Don't you think it's a little too late to know my identity now?" The corner of Sun Jiangwen's lips curled up as he controlled his soul power, crazily pressing down on Wang Haiba, not daring to hold back. "Solitaire!" Ning Yu shouted and hurriedly waved the red demon's sword in his hand, instantly sending out several sword waves. Before entering the Green Wolf Gang, Ning Yu had asked for the red demon's sword back. After all, to deal with a yin-yang stage intermediate stage warrior, relying on a heaven lower grade soul breaking sword was far from enough. Swish, swish, swish. As the red demon's sword in Ning Yu's hand continued to wave, several sword waves formed in an instant and rushed towards Wang Haiba. On one hand, he was suppressed by Sun Jiangwen's peak 7th grade soul power, and on the other hand, he was besieged by several sword waves. Wang Haiba was gradually at a disadvantage. Rumble. However, just when Ning Yu thought that he would slowly exhaust Wang Haiba to death, the wall on the side of the passage suddenly burst. Swish, swish, swish. Soon after, 3 figures steadily landed in this area. Looking at the 3 figures that suddenly appeared, Ning Yu's expression changed, and his heart sank to the bottom. The 3 figures in front of him were none other than the 3 yin-yang stage early stage warriors in the main hall. In other words, the 3 of them were also warriors of the corpse yin sect. Seeing the 3 warriors standing there in a daze, Wang Haiba shouted, "What the f***ck are you still standing there for? Hurry up and kill them all." Hearing this, Ma Wei and the others immediately joined the battle. With the addition of Ma Wei and the others, the pressure on Wang Haiba was greatly reduced. In an instant, the situation changed from being suppressed by Ning Yu and the others to being suppressed by Ning Yu's group. The Red Demon and Sun Jiangwen faced the 3 yin-yang stage early stage warriors. Ning Yu held the Red Demon's sword in his hand and fought with Wang Haiba. Bang! After all, Wang Haiba was a yin-yang stage intermediate stage warrior. Ningyu only lasted for 10 moves before Wang Haiba seized the opportunity and punched him in the chest. His body slammed into the stone wall behind him, and even the stone wall caved in. A Yin-Yang stage intermediate stage warrior is really powerful. Ningyu's mind raced as he tried to think of a countermeasure. The reason why he was able to kill Wen Hong was because Wen Hong was careless and his strength was not at its peak. Now that he was facing Wang Haiba at his peak, it was not easy for Ningyu to last for 10 moves. In your next life, remember not to offend people you shouldn't offend. At this moment, Wang Haiba's figure flashed and appeared in front of Ningyu. His fist brought with it a violent yuan qi gale as he ruthlessly punched at Ningyu's heart. This attack was very powerful. If Ningyu was unlucky enough to be hit, even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. At this critical moment, Ningyu gathered all the yuan qi in his body at his heart, hoping to resist this fatal attack from Wang Haiba. Gotcha! However, Wang Haiba's attack was too powerful. Almost instantly, it shattered the yuan qi barrier in front of Ningyu's heart. Immediately after, Wang Haiba's fist gradually expanded in front of Ningyu's eyes, and finally, it ruthlessly punched at Ningyu's heart. Ah! In the next moment, a pig-slaughtering scream sounded in the area. Hearing this voice, Hong Mo and the rest stopped their attacks and turned to look at Ningyu. What? This is impossible. Absolutely impossible. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? The first to speak were Ma Wei and the rest. Their eyes were wide open, and their faces were filled with disbelief. This is too ridiculous, right? The next to speak were Hong Mo and Sun Jiangwen. Compared to the shock on Ma Wei and the rest's faces, the shock on their faces was even more intense. He's so strong? On the other side, the alchemist hall master's mouth was also slightly open. The shock on his face was no less than that of Hong Mo and Sun Jiangwen. The person who was the most shocked was none other than Ningyu. Ningyu looked at Wang Haiba's bloody palm, and then lowered his head to look at his heart. His face was filled with confusion. Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something. He reached his palm into his robe and took out a small branch. Oh, right! He had obtained this branch from the Zhang family in Ivory City. At that time, he felt that it was relatively hard, so he placed it at his heart to prevent any accidents. Unexpectedly, it really saved his life. What? Chapter 430. A Great Battle. What is a World Tree? Ningyu's heart skipped a beat when he heard the alchemist temple lord's words. This was the first time Ningyu had heard of the term World Tree. In other words, he knew nothing about the World Tree. I also know very little about the World Tree. I've only read about it in the records of the Corpse Sect's headquarters. The alchemist temple lord explained, the records only describe the World Tree in 2 sentences, indestructible and regenerative. Indestructible? Regenerative? Ningyu was slightly startled when he heard this. He felt that it was unbelievable. The meaning of the words was not difficult to understand. The World Tree was very tough and could grow again. However, this description was a bit vague, and it was difficult to determine the true form of the World Tree. As for whether the branch in his hand was the World Tree or not, it was even more difficult to determine. Just from its toughness, it was not enough to prove that it was the World Tree's branch. The alchemist temple lord nodded and said, "That's right, there are very few records about the World Tree. If I wasn't the alchemist temple lord, I wouldn't have been able to read such important information." In other words, Wang Haiba's right hand is completely crippled? Ningyu pointed at Sun Jiangwen, who had a pained expression on his face, and asked, "He's basically crippled. Losing his right hand, his strength has dropped by at least 50%. The alchemist temple lord said with certainty, "As long as Sun Jiangwen restrains his soul force, you and Hong Mo can easily kill him." Alchemist temple lord, you traitor! I'll definitely send this news back to the Corpse Sect's headquarters and make you suffer. Wang Haiba was furious when he heard the alchemist temple lord's words. He, a wise man submits to circumstances. Being scolded by Wang Haiba, the alchemist temple lord did not get angry and smiled. In fact, there was something that the alchemist temple lord did not say. If he had not taken 2 inner demon pills and been tortured by Sun Jiangwen for a long time, he would not have been so obedient to Ningyu. The pain of being bitten by 10,000 ants from the inner demon pill was not something an ordinary person could endure. You want to kill me? Don't forget that Ma Wei and the others are also at the yin-yang initial stage. As long as we want to, it's still very easy for us to leave. Forcefully enduring the pain coming from his wrist, Wang Haibo regained his composure and said solemnly, "This is troublesome." Ningyu frowned and fell into deep thought. Although Wang Haibo was seriously injured, there were still 3 early-stage yin-yang stage martial artists on their side. If they wanted to leave, it would be difficult for him to stop them. Now that his identity had been exposed, if Wang Haiba sent the news back to the headquarters of the Corpse Yin sect, the Corpse Yin sect might send experts to surround and kill him. At that time, even if he had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't be able to escape. Suddenly, Ningyu had an idea and said to Wang Haiba, "How about we make a deal? You're still trying to play tricks at a time like this?" Wang Haiba obviously didn't fall for Ningyu's tricks. He said proudly, "We'll meet again." With that, Wang Haiba turned his head and walked out of the passage. Seeing that Wang Haiba was about to leave, Sun Jiangwen hurriedly said, "Ningyu, you can't let them leave like this. Once they tell the higher-ups of the Corpse Yin sect, we will suffer a disaster." Sun Jiangwen was even more anxious than Ningyu. After all, he had betrayed the Corpse Yin sect. If Wang Haiba and the others returned to the headquarters of the Corpse Yin sect, he would definitely suffer. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu seemed to have made a great decision and said, "Hong Mo, Sun Jiangwen, and the Alchemist Temple Master, the 3 of you deal with Ma Wei and the others. As for Wang Haiba, leave him to me." As soon as he said that, Ningyu leaped up from the ground. His body turned into an afterimage as he charged at Wang Haiba. In fact, even if Sun Jiangwen didn't say anything, Ningyu would never allow Wang Haiba to escape. Seeing Ningyu rushing toward him, Wang Haiba kicked Ma Wei's butt and shouted, "Go, the 3 of you go! Stop Ningyu!" Swish, swish, swish. Ma Wei and the others didn't dare to be negligent and immediately attacked, wanting to block Ningyu's powerful attack. "Your opponents are here." However, just as Ma Wei and the others were about to attack, they saw Hong Mo and Sun Jiangwen appear in front of them and launch powerful attacks at them. Helpless, they could only give up on attacking Ningyu and fight Hong Mo and the others. Damn it! The sudden change caused Wang Haiba's expression to change greatly. He had no choice but to face Ningyu alone. After secretly cursing, Wang Haiba gathered all the origin energy in his body on his left wrist and threw a backhand punch at Ningyu's fist. Kacha! The 2 fists collided and a crisp sound rang out. Wang Haiba and Ningyu both took a few steps back. Through this attack, it could be determined that the current strength of Ningyu and Wang Haiba was almost the same. "Humph! Want to defeat me? It's not that easy." Wang Haiba coldly snorted after not being at a disadvantage. "So much nonsense." Rotating palm. With a low bellow, the origin energy in Ningyu's consciousness surged out and gathered on his palm. In the next moment, a tangible palm print separated from Ningyu's palm. Chi-chi. Wherever the palm print passed, even the air was compressed and dispersed in all directions, emitting sizzling sounds. Swoosh. Just as the rotating palm was about to hit Wang Haiba, Ningyu attacked with his pinnacle 5th-grade soul force and chased after the rotating palm. "A mere origin energy palm print and you think you can defeat me? Not good." Seeing that the palm print containing violent origin energy was about to reach him, Wang Haiba's lips curled up. However, just as he was about to mock, his expression changed and he quickly retreated. Boom! Before Wang Haiba could retreat, the rotating wheel palm exploded in front of him. Rumble! The aftermath of the explosion was so strong that the tunnel shook, and it looked like it was about to collapse. What's going on? Where did this explosion come from? Judging from the sound, it should be from the Green Wolf Gang. The vice leader of the Green Wolf Gang is fighting with the leader of the Iron Tree Gang. With the leader of the Green Wolf Gang inside, there shouldn't be any problems, right? That's hard to say. Maybe there's another force surrounding the Green Wolf Gang. The sound of the explosion caused Yuan Tong's eyes to reveal a shocked expression. He could not understand why there would be such a powerful explosion when Wang Haiba and the others were inside the Green Wolf Gang's main hall. Could it be that there was another force surrounding the Green Wolf Gang, like what the surrounding martial artist said? It's not good to be distracted while fighting me. Just then, Tai Zong seized the opportunity and quickly appeared in front of Yuan Tong. His fist carried with it an extremely violent origin energy and slammed into Yuan Tong's chest. Bang! At such a close distance, Yuan Tong's expression changed, and he used all his strength to kick at Tai Zong's calf. Poochie! Crack! Chapter 431. Setting up a formation. Yuan Tong, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Tai Zong was furious. Due to a moment of carelessness, his calf was broken by Yuan Tong. Only by killing Yuan Tong would he be able to resolve the hatred in his heart. Swoosh! With that, Tai Zong rose from the ground. His body was like a sharp sword as he instantly appeared in front of Yuan Tong. In the next moment, Tai Zong threw a punch and it landed right on Yuan Tong's heart. Bang! Tai Zong's attack was heavy and he used almost all the strength in his body without holding back at all. Due to the heavy injury, Yuan Tong could only watch as Tai Zong's fist landed on his heart. A muffled sound resounded in the area once more. Immediately after, Yuan Tong's body was like a kite with a broken string, falling straight to the ground. Finally, he landed heavily on the ground. At this moment, the vice leader of the Green Wolves Gang, Yuan Tong, had died in battle. Swoosh! Yuan Tong's death caused a commotion in the surroundings. No one had expected that Yuan Tong would be the first to be killed. One had to know that Yuan Tong and Tai Zong were evenly matched not long ago. Neither could do anything to the other. Yuan Tong was killed just like that? That's right, he was killed. The cause was the explosion in the Green Wolves Gang. If not for that explosion, Yuan Tong would not have been killed. He died too unjustly. Unjustly? He was distracted during the fight. He can't blame anyone else. The surrounding martial artists were still rather regretful about Yuan Tong's death in battle. After all, it happened so suddenly. If it were them, they would not have a good time either. An explosion occurred in their own gang. It was inevitable for them to be slightly distracted. Swoosh! At this moment, a figure suddenly flew over from afar and landed steadily in front of Tai Zong. It's you! Looking at the martial artist who suddenly appeared in front of him, Tai Zong's eyes widened and his face was filled with shock. Very quickly, the shock on his face disappeared and was replaced by a look of ecstasy. Ha ha, I can wear out iron shoes in fruitless searching and find you by chance. I was just about to deal with the Green Wolves Gang before looking for you. Who would have thought that you would come knocking on my door? Since that's the case, I won't hold back. With a sneer, Tai Zong's figure suddenly moved, and he attacked Feng Zi. In the face of Tai Zong's sudden attack, Feng Zi seemed to have been prepared. He left his original position with a few leaps, then suddenly exerted strength in his legs, and leaped up. Whoosh! While in the air, Feng Zi made a grabbing motion in the air. Immediately, a cold light appeared in his hands and he suddenly threw it towards Tai Zong. You overestimate yourself. An ominous glint flashed across Tai Zong's eyes. He clenched his fists, and violent yuan qi wrapped around his wrists. In the next moment, he took a step forward and a soft explosion rang out from under his feet. Then, like a spirit, His body dodged the cold light in an instant and shot towards Feng Zi. Who is this martial artist? Could it be the Green Wolf Gang? I don't think so. The Green Wolf Gang doesn't have such a young expert. He's not from the Green Wolf Gang, and he has a grudge against the Iron Tree Gang. Could he be a martial artist from the Death Arena? He's only an early primal core martial artist. He's definitely not a match for Tai Zong. Death is only a matter of time. After today, the Iron Tree Gang will be the sole power in Wu Tuo City. Ningyu had no idea what had happened in front of the Green Wolf Gang. At this moment, he stood at the end of the passageway. In front of him, Wang Haiba knelt on the ground with a face full of viciousness. I didn't expect that palm print to be a soul attack palm print. Wang Haiba was very unwilling and said angrily, "If you have the ability, let's fight again. This time, I will definitely beat you until you look for your teeth all over the ground." Ningyu, in my opinion, it's better to kill him to prevent any undue delay. Beside him, Hong Mo reminded. The aftermath of the rotating wheel palm's explosion was too great. Not only did it cause Wang Haiba to suffer heavy injuries, even Ma Wei and the other two had suffered a certain degree of injury. Fortunately, Ningyu had informed him and Sun Jiangwen in advance. Otherwise, he would definitely have suffered heavy injuries. The result was obvious. Hong Mo and Sun Jiangwen seized the opportunity to capture Ma Wei and the others. The corner of Ningyu's mouth rose as he lightly said, "Don't worry, I still have a use for these corpse sect martial artists." Then, Ningyu turned to Sun Jiangwen and said, "Find a way to remove the corpse sect's aura from the four of them. Get rid of it completely. We can't let anyone find out that they are from the corpse sect." This, Sun Jiangwen revealed a difficult expression. "What, you can't do it?" Ningyu raised his eyebrows and said calmly, "It's not that I can't do it, but I need a lot of origin crystals to arrange the array." Sun Jiangwen gritted his teeth, stretched out a finger and said, 5 million top-grade origin crystals. I need 5 million top-grade origin crystals to arrange the array. 5 million top-grade origin crystals. Why don't you go rob someone? Hearing Sun Jiangwen's words, Ningyu jumped up from the ground with a look of disbelief on his face. Wouldn't it take a long time to refine so many top-grade origin crystals? What kind of array was Sun Jiangwen going to arrange that required so many top-grade origin crystals? Ningyu, every cultivator who enters the corpse sect will soak in the corpse pool for a day, leaving behind a special smell on their body. Sun Jiangwen explained, "This is also the key to why cultivators with high cultivation can easily distinguish between corpse sect cultivators. The array I arranged can not only remove the smell on Wang Haiba and the others, but it can also remove the smell on me and the alchemist hall master." Sun Jiangwen continued, "You don't want the corpse sect to find us by following our smell, do you?" "That's true." Ningyu nodded and said, "I can give you 5 million top-grade origin crystals. Where do you want to arrange the array? How long will it take to succeed?" "You don't have to worry about that. You only need to arrange the array in the storage ring. As for the time," Sun Jiangwen paused for a moment before continuing, "it will take about 3 days. After 3 days it will be successful. At that time, even the higher-ups of the corpse sect will find it difficult to find us by following our smell. How about this, I'll give you 6 million top-grade origin crystals. Arrange the array in the storage ring. If you fail in 3 days you should know the consequences." After pondering for a moment, Ningyu took out a jade bottle. Demon Heart Pill. There were 4 Demon Heart Pills inside the jade bottle. Originally, Ningyu had obtained 6 Demon Heart Pills from Su Jinfu. He had used 2 to control the Alchemist Hall Master, so there were 4 left. Wang Haiba and the others happened to have 4 people, so 4 Demon Heart Pills was just enough. "Hong Mo, give them these Demon Heart Pills." Ningyu casually threw the jade bottle to Hong Mo and said lightly, "Okay." Chapter 432. Defeated, Inner Demon Pill. After swallowing the inner demon pill, Ma Wei coughed twice. His face was filled with horror as he shouted, "You gave me the inner demon pill!" Noisy. With a low shout, Hong Mo used the same method to throw the remaining 3 inner demon pills into the mouths of Wang Haiba and the others. Hong Mo, I'll leave these 4 corpse insect martial artists to you. Seeing that Wang Haiba and the others had swallowed the inner demon pill, Ningyu waved his hand, signaling Hong Mo to control the 4 of them. Ningyu had already controlled the alchemist hall master. If he controlled Wang Haiba and the others as well, he would definitely be distracted, which would greatly affect his future pill refining. Hong Mo was different. He was a spirit body, so no matter how many martial artists he controlled, he wouldn't be distracted. Okay, since it's like this, I won't refuse. Hong Mo wasn't an indecisive person. He immediately forced out 4 drops of red liquid from his body and sent them into Wang Haiba and the others' bodies. Chi. As soon as the red liquid entered Wang Haiba and the others' bodies, it fused with their blood and instantly controlled them. Hong Mo, you and Sun Jiangwen enter the storage ring together. Be sure to get rid of the smell on Wang Haiba and the others. Seeing that Hong Mo had completely controlled Wang Haiba and the others, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "You can use the crystals in the storage ring. As long as we succeed this time, we will have something to rely on in the future. Even if we encounter a Yin-Yang realm martial artist, we will be able to contend against him." Swoosh. With that said, Ningyu flicked his sleeve and directly threw the storage ring into the air. Then, a huge beam of light swept out from the storage ring and enveloped Hong Mo and the others. In the next moment, Hong Mo and the others disappeared together with the beam of light and entered the storage ring. Phew! After doing all this, Ningyu let out a long breath, sorted out his thoughts, and walked straight to the stone room not far away. The stone room had already been opened by Wang Haiba, so Ningyu entered the stone room without the slightest obstruction. Why is there nothing? Looking at the empty stone chamber, Ningyu was a little stunned. Logically speaking, all of the corpse insects resources in Wu Tua City should be in this stone room. Why wasn't there even a single hair? Could it be that Wang Haiba had already moved it away? Thinking of this, Ningyu's expression was a little gloomy. He had gone through untold hardships to come to this foothold, and he had even almost died here, but in the end, he had gained nothing. Hong Mo, ask where the magic treasures and pills of this stronghold are. Ningyu's consciousness sank into the storage ring and directly communicated with Hong Mo. Originally, Hong Mo was working with Sun Jiangwen to construct the array formation. Hearing Ningyu's words, he immediately stopped what he was doing and asked Wang Haiba. After a while, Hong Mo's expression turned ugly as he said in a deep voice, "The magic treasures and pills are not here. They are in another place, but..." Wang Haiba had set up an array formation there. The moment he was defeated, he detonated that place. F***ck. Hearing this, Ningyu's face was full of black lines. He wished he could immediately kill Wang Haiba. At the end of the day, it was really all for naught. It was a strenuous and unrewarding task. You go help Sun Jiangwen, I'll go out and see how Feng Zi is doing. Since he couldn't find any magic treasures or pills, Ningyu didn't plan to stay here. His figure flashed and disappeared into the passage in the blink of an eye. Boom! In front of the Green Wolf Gang, 2 figures separated and floated in the air. Third young master, I didn't expect your wave-splitting palm to have reached this level. Tai Zong's face was a little gloomy as he said viciously, "But if you think you can defeat me like this, then you are too naive. But you can rest assured that I won't kill you. I will only capture you and send you back to the Feng clan to be tortured by the young master." Ha! With that, Tai Zong laughed unscrupulously. A dog is a dog. A dog for a day, a dog for life. Feng Zi's face showed a dignified expression. Although Tai Zong was seriously injured when fighting with Yuan Tong, He was at the beginning stage of the yin-yang realm. His strength was still slightly stronger than Feng Zi's. If the battle continued like this, the final winner would undoubtedly be Tai Zong. Seeking death. With a cold look in his eyes, Tai Zong charged at Feng Zi once again. Ever since he came to Wu Tuo City, he had never been called a dog by anyone. Feng Zi was the first warrior who dared to say that. Therefore, Tai Zong secretly made up his mind to teach Feng Zi a lesson. Even if he couldn't kill Feng Zi, he had to let him know what he could say and what he shouldn't. Oh no! Seeing that Tai Zong was about to reach him, Feng Zi's expression changed. He hurriedly pushed out his right hand and unavoidably collided with Tai Zong's fist. Bang! In the next moment, a crisp sound rang out. Feng Zi's body fell backward like a kite with a broken string. Without a doubt, Feng Zi landed heavily on the ground and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His face was extremely pale. Sigh, in the end, there was no miracle. Yeah, it's really too difficult for an early primal core warrior to defeat Tai Zong. This early primal core warrior is already not easy. To be able to withstand more than 10 moves from Tai Zong, even if he's killed, it's something to be proud of. What's the use of being proud? He's still going to be killed. If I have to choose between being proud and living, I'll definitely choose living. Initially, when Feng Zi and Tai Zong were fighting, the surrounding warriors were more optimistic about Feng Zi. After all, Tai Zong had just battled with Yuan Tong and had expended a lot of energy. Even one of his calves had been broken. Who would have thought that the final victor would still be Tai Zong? If there were no accidents, Feng Zi would be killed sooner or later. Third young master, today I'll let you know that a dog that has been chased out of the family is not worthy. Oh no. After making Feng Zi spit out blood with one move, the anger on Tai Zong's face lessened slightly. He walked towards Feng Zi step by step, wanting to cripple one of Feng Zi's legs. However, before he reached Feng Zi, his expression changed drastically. Without thinking much, he immediately retreated. Swoosh! As Tai Zong retreated, a shocking sword wave appeared above his head. The sword wave was extremely fast. Almost at the moment when Tai Zong retreated, it was already heading for his head. Chi. At the critical moment, Tai Zong gritted his teeth and directly took out his flying sword, slashing out a series of sword rays. When the sword wave and the sword ray came into contact, a chi sound rang out. Immediately, the sword ray was dispersed. Then, the sword wave gradually expanded in Tai Zong's eyes, and finally slashed fiercely on his chest. Whoosh! Although the sword ray blocked the power of the sword wave, the remnant sword wave still caused Tai Zong to retreat a few steps, and a bloody gash appeared on his chest. Who are you? Holding back the sharp pain coming from his chest, Tai Zong's expression was extremely cold as he berated. As Tai Zong's voice fell, a slightly thin figure slowly walked out from the courtyard of the Green Wolf Triad. This figure did not answer Tai Zong, but directly went in front of Feng Zi and helped him up. Chapter 433. Chapter 433 Death Help, Ning Yu. What's he doing here? Is he also from the Green Wolf Gang? Ning Yu is not a member of the Green Wolf Gang. It's just that he has a good relationship with this early primal core stage warrior. After all, they had joined forces to fight the fourth prince of the Lan Qing Kingdom in the square of Wu Tuo City. Ning Yu is very strong. I wonder if he is a match for Tai Zong. It's hard to say. Tai Zong is an early yin-yang realm warrior. With Ning Yu's strength, it should be very difficult to contend with him. Ning Yu's sudden appearance caused the surrounding warriors to be in an uproar. Originally, they thought that Feng Zi was going to be killed. Who would have thought that Ning Yu would appear here and block the fatal blow for Feng Zi? Kid, didn't you hear what I said? Seeing that Ning Yu was ignoring him, Tai Zong was furious and shouted, I'll give you one more chance to tell me your identity. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer. Feng Zi, you stay here and recuperate first. Leave the rest to me. Ningyu gently put Feng Zi down and then walked towards Taizong step by step. Ningyu did not walk very fast, but every step he took landed heavily on the ground. The sound of his feet hitting the ground made the surrounding warriors tremble. Not long after, Ningyu came to stand in front of Taizong. You're called Taizong? I'll give you a chance to say what enmity you have with Feng Zi. Ningyu's tone was calm, as if he was talking to a stranger. Ah! Taizong looked up to the sky and laughed wildly, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Immediately, his face turned cold and he said gloomily, Kid, I have to say that you're the most arrogant person I've seen in Wu Ta City. In order to give you a little reward, I've decided to peel off your skin and feed it to the dogs. Swoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, Taizong's eyes revealed a vicious glint. With a backhand, he threw out a palm print that directly attacked Ningyu's face. Looking at the approaching palm print, Ningyu's expression did not change. The essence in his sea of consciousness surged as he pushed out his palm. Chi-chi. The moment the two palm prints came into contact, Ningyu immediately drew out the red demon sword and slashed out several sword ripples. Voila! Countless sword ripples separated from the red demon sword and blasted toward Taizong. Not good. Taizong was, after all, an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist with strong perception. The moment the sword wave struck, he realized that something was wrong and immediately retreated. He could sense that every single sword ripple contained extremely berserk yuan qi undulations. The extremely berserk yuan qi undulations even made him want to flee. This feeling was something he had never felt before. Even when he faced a yin-yang realm martial artist, he didn't have the urge to run away. Poochie. However, the moment Taizong wanted to dodge, he was already at a disadvantage. Countless sword waves covered the sky and covered the earth as they attacked him, almost enveloping him in an instant. Is Taizong trapped in the sword ripple formation? What kind of sword ripples did Ningyu slash out? It can actually trap Taizong, an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. According to my observation, the sword ripples that Ningyu slashed out are at least superior heaven-rank martial techniques. It's still difficult for a superior heaven-rank martial technique to trap Taizong. In my opinion, it's most likely a king-rank martial technique. What? King-rank martial technique? Hearing the martial artist's analysis, the surrounding martial artists were once again in an uproar. King-rank martial techniques were rarely circulated in the market, except for some super first-rate forces. They were priceless. King-rank martial techniques were really priceless. If it's a king-rank martial technique, then Taizong is probably done for. That's for sure. However, Ningyu isn't any better off. He has trapped the Iron Tree sect leader. How can the other elders of the Iron Tree sect let him off? That's right. The Iron Tree sect has a peak primal core martial artist and 3 late-stage primal core martial artists. Look, Ningyu is surrounded by the Iron Tree sect elders. Whoosh! Following the palm of the last martial artist, the crowd's gaze fell on Ningyu. They saw that Ningyu was surrounded by dozens of martial artists. Among the dozens of martial artists, there was a peak primal core martial artist and 3 late-stage primal core martial artists. As for the rest of the mid-stage and early-stage primal core martial artists, there were at least a dozen of them. Ningyu, if you don't want to die, release our sect leader. Otherwise, we'll show you what's coming. The peak primal core martial artist berated Ningyu, his tone full of threat. You are a peak primal core martial artist, and your sect leader is in the early yin-yang stage. Even he is no match for me. Do you think you can defeat me? Ningyu smiled and said, If it were me, it would naturally be difficult to defeat you. However, I'm not the only one here. The peak primal core martial artist snorted and said darkly, You only have one chance to choose. Are you going to release him or not? It's impossible to release him. Just give up, Ningyu said with a shrug. Good, you've got guts. The peak primal core martial artist shouted, "Brothers, let's go. Whoever takes down Ningyu, I'll give him the position of deputy leader of the Green Wolves sect." Whoosh! Having received the promise of the peak primal core martial artist, the martial artists of the Iron Tree sect seemed to have taken a stimulant. They howled and charged at Ningyu. Under the temptation of such a huge profit, they had already thrown their lives to the back of their minds. All they could think about was the position of deputy leader of the Green Wolves sect. "Since you're all looking for death, don't blame me." With a cold expression, Ningyu's legs moved quickly, and in an instant, he was engaged in battle with the many martial artists of the Iron Tree sect. Bang! 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 Ningyu's movements were extremely fast, and in an instant, he had forced 3 early primal core martial artists to retreat. After forcing 3 early primal core martial artists to retreat, Ningyu's speed did not decrease. Instead, he became even faster. Bang, bang, bang! In the next instant, another few martial artists were forced to retreat. In the short span of a minute, out of the tens of martial artists of the Iron Tree sect, only 4 were left standing. 1 peak primal core and 3 late primal core. These 4 martial artists looked at each other and slowly retreated. Through the exchange just now, they had basically determined that Ningyu's true strength far exceeded theirs. Boom! At this moment, a loud explosion sounded. Then, the sword wave array that Ningyu had created exploded, and a wretched figure flew out from within. "He's Taizong? If not Taizong, who else could it be? It's just that he seems to be seriously injured." "He's definitely injured. You have to know that the power of Ningyu's sword wave array is extremely terrifying." When the surrounding martial artists saw the wretched Taizong, their mouths were slightly agape, and they revealed expressions of disbelief. Because at this moment, not only was Taizong's clothes ragged, even his breathing was extremely weak. It could be said that the current Taizong, even a Khanate stage martial artist, could easily kill him. "Fengzi, settle your grudge with Taizong yourself. This is all I can help you with." Chapter 434. Obstruction. As Ningyu's voice faded, Fengzi stood up from the ground and dragged his heavy footsteps towards Taizong. Before long, Fengzi arrived in front of Taizong. "Taizong, I won't kill you today." Taking a deep breath, Fengzi resisted the urge to kill Taizong and said in a solemn voice, "I'll spare your dog life. Bring a message to your master for me. Tell him that what I've lost, I'll get it back sooner or later." Hearing Fengzi's words, Ningyu's brows furrowed slightly, wanting to say something to remind him. After all, one could not be soft-hearted when dealing with enemies. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. But, just as Ningyu's words left his mouth, he saw Fengzi's right hand chopping towards Taizong's head viciously. "Ah!" In the next moment, a hysterical scream resounded in the area. Immediately after, Taizong hugged his head with both hands and rolled left and right on the ground. What did Fengzi do to Taizong? Why is Taizong in such pain? That goes without saying. Fengzi crippled Taizong's sea of consciousness. What? Crippled the sea of consciousness? Doesn't that mean that from now on, Taizong will no longer have the possibility of cultivation? When the surrounding martial artists saw Taizong's miserable state, they all revealed shocked expressions. There were even some low-level martial artists whose gazes when looking at Fengzi changed. It was just that any martial artist whose cultivation reached the true martial realm all looked at Ningyu in a different light. The reason why Fengzi could cripple Taizong's sea of consciousness was entirely due to Ningyu's efforts. If not for Ningyu's sword wave formation, the martial artist whose sea of consciousness was crippled would definitely not be Taizong, but Fengzi. Ignoring the surrounding martial artists' discussions, Fengzi slowly walked in front of Ningyu and said in a solemn voice, "Great kindness cannot be thanked with words. This kindness, I'll remember it. What's there to be courteous with me for?" Ningyu smiled slightly and said, What plans do you have next? Are you coming with me to the capital or returning to Lanqing Nation? To the capital. After pondering for a while, Fengzi said, I still have some matters to attend to. I'll return to the Blue Spirit Nation after I'm done. Alright, let's not waste any more time. Let's set off immediately. Ningyu didn't want to stay here any longer. After all, the stronghold of the Alchemist Hall had already been uprooted. Even Wang Haiba and the others were under their control. There was no need to stay. If he delayed any longer, he would only wait for the experts of the corpse insect to arrive. After 2 big battles, Ningyu had consumed a lot of energy. If 1 or 2 Yin-Yang realm experts of the corpse insect came, he would definitely not be their opponent. Therefore, Ningyu chose to leave Wu-Ta City as soon as possible and return to the capital. Go! Fengzi was not an indecisive person. When he said he wanted to leave, he left without any hesitation. Whoosh! As Fengzi's injuries were more severe, Ningyu grabbed him and quickly flew out of Wu-Ta City. Seeing Ningyu and Fengzi leave, all the cultivators in the area were dumbfounded, standing there blankly. Crash! After a long while, these cultivators came back to their senses and burst into exclamations. Ningyu and Fengzi left just like that? A martial artist in the early stage of the true martial realm asked doubtfully. Are you blind? They've been gone for a while. They should have left Wu-Ta City by now. Next to him, a martial artist in the middle stage of the true martial realm said disdainfully. No matter what, Ningyu seriously injured Taizong and more or less helped the Green Wolf gang. On the other side, a martial artist in the early stage of the primal core stage analyzed. The one who is most proud now should be the leader of the Green Wolf gang. From now on, the underground forces of Wu-Ta City will cover the sky with one hand. Sigh, what a pity for the Iron Tree sect. There were bursts of sighs all around. Originally, they thought that the Iron Tree sect would unify the underground forces of Wu-Ta City. Who would have thought that after so many twists and turns, the one who benefited in the end was the Green Wolf gang? There was one thing they didn't know. At this time, the Green Wolf gang was already in chaos. The deputy leader, Yuan Tong, was killed, and the leader, Wang Haiba, and the other 3 deputy leaders were missing. Most of them wanted to fight for the leader's position, not to unify the underground forces of Wu-Ta City. After leaving Wu-Ta City, Ningyu and Fengzi rushed towards the capital. Wu-Ta City was not very far from the capital. If Ningyu rushed at full speed, it would only take a day at most to reach the capital. It was just that Ningyu and Fengzi stopped in a town halfway and rested for half a day until both of them had recovered to their peak condition. Only then did they choose to leave. In the afternoon of the second day, Ningyu and Fengzi stopped in front of the capital's gate. So this is the capital of the Xia kingdom. Standing in front of the gate, Fengzi's eyes revealed a hint of passion as he murmured. You've never been here before? Ningyu asked. Shaking his head, Fengzi said, This is my first time here. I hope it won't disappoint me. How does the capital of the Lanqing kingdom compare to this? Ningyu asked again. The capital of the Xia kingdom has a feeling of vicissitudes, like it's lifeless, while the capital of the Lanqing kingdom gives off a feeling of vitality. Fengzi slowly said with his eyes closed. Haha, vicissitudes and vitality are 2 different experiences. Let's go find Si Kongling first. With a slight smile, Ningyu strode into the capital of the Xia kingdom. Behind him, Fengzi did not hesitate and followed closely. Ningyu had been to Si Kongling's residence before, so after entering the capital, he directly walked towards Si Kongling's residence. Buzz buzz. After passing through a few streets, just as Ningyu was about to reach Si Kongling's residence, the space in front of him suddenly surged, and then an old man appeared. Looking at the old man who suddenly appeared, Ningyu's heart shuddered. Because he knew the martial artist in front of him. It was the person who injured the Dark Emperor at the city gates a few days ago, the pinnacle expert behind the third prince, Elder Tan. Back then, Ningyu's cultivation and soul force were both rather low, so he couldn't discover Elder Tan's true cultivation and only knew that he was a yin-yang realm martial artist. But now it was different. Ningyu could clearly see that Elder Tan was a yin-yang realm peak stage martial artist. Ningyu, you're too daring. You made His Majesty wait for so long in the Tianyuan restaurant. At first sight of Ningyu, Elder Tan berated, I can take you down on the spot for the crime of deceiving the Emperor. A few days ago, I had some matters to attend to and left the capital, so I was unable to keep the appointment. With Ningyu's current strength, facing Elder Tan's berating, he was naturally fearless. He said, I am also very regretful for making His Majesty wait for so long. Just a word of regret is enough? Today, you must give His Majesty an explanation, Elder Tan said coldly. Then, he unleashed the aura from his entire body and surged towards Ningyu. No need to help. Just as Elder Tan unleashed his aura, Feng Zi took a step forward. Essence energy surged around him, wanting to help Ningyu block this impact. However, Ningyu pressed his palm on Feng Zi's shoulder and said indifferently, This time, it was me who was rude first. Let Elder Tan's aura suppress it for a while as an apology. Ningyu, I have to say that you're very arrogant. Chapter 435. A bet with Old Tan, so to say. If I can't withstand your aura pressure, the Emperor will punish me? Hearing this, Ningyu frowned slightly and hesitated. That's right. Old Tan nodded and said, You committed the crime of deceiving the Emperor. If I don't plead for you in front of the Emperor, you will be sentenced to death. Even 9 generations of your family. Deceiving the Emperor, 9 generations of my family? Before Ningyu could speak, Feng Zi, who was at the side, said sinisterly, The imperial family of the Great Xia Kingdom is indeed awesome. They actually dare to implicate the 9 generations of a core disciple of the Danwu College's Sacred Institute. And who are you? Old Tan's face turned completely gloomy as he berated, a mere early-stage primal core martial artist. If you dare to interrupt again, I will capture you as well. Old Tan, don't say any more unnecessary words. I will stand here to resist your aura pressure. Hurry up, I still have things to do and don't have time to waste with you here. Seeing that Feng Zi was about to get angry, Ningyu took a step forward and stood in front of Old Tan. Old Tan was not like Taizong. He was a peak early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. With Feng Zi's current strength, he would most likely be defeated by Old Tan. In order to prevent a conflict between Feng Zi and Old Tan, Ningyu immediately agreed to Old Tan. Very good, very arrogant. Old Tan's eyes narrowed as he released 50% of his aura pressure towards Ningyu without restraint. From Old Tan's point of view, Ningyu was only at the late stage of the true martial realm. Once he released all of his aura, it was very likely that Ningyu would suffer heavy injuries. Therefore, he only released 50% of his aura in order to teach Ningyu a lesson and suppress Ningyu's arrogance. The aura pressure of a peak early-stage yin-yang realm. Faced with the overwhelming aura pressure, Ningyu pushed Feng Zi away. Then, the essence in his sea of consciousness surged out, forming a protective essence qi barrier around him. No wonder he's so arrogant. His yuan qi is so strong. Since that's the case, I'll increase the pressure of my aura to 60%. Sensing the berserk essence qi undulations around Ningyu, Elder Tan did not hesitate in the slightest and directly raised his aura suppression to 60%. Qi. In the next moment, Elder Tan's aura collided with the energy barrier in front of Ningyu, and sizzling sounds resounded in the area. 1 minute. With the intensity of Ningyu's essence energy, he can at most last 1 minute. Old Tan crossed his arms in front of his chest as he stared at Ningyu with interest. 1 minute? In my opinion, Ningyu can hold out for at least an hour. Feng Zi snorted coldly. Poochie. Hearing Feng Zi's words, Old Tan could not help but laugh and said, "If he can hold out for an hour, I'll write my name upside down." "No, I'll twist my head off and let you use it as a chamber pot." Old Tan could be considered to have gone crazy for once. As a peak early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, he actually made a bet with an early-stage primal core martial artist. Furthermore, the wager was so unbearable. This was the first time in his life. "Use your head as a chamber pot for me?" Feng Zi pursed his lips and said, "I don't have that hobby. How about this, let's bet something practical." Subsequently, Feng Zi flicked his wrist and a flying sword appeared in his hand. A mid-grade heaven tier flying sword. The flying sword in Feng Zi's hand had reached the heaven tier. Furthermore, it was a mid-grade heaven tier flying sword. "How about we bet a heaven tier flying sword for fun?" Feng Zi said as he waved the flying sword in his hand. "It's just a mere mid-grade heaven tier flying sword. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" With a cold snort, Old Tan flicked his sleeves and a white flying sword appeared in his hand. A high-grade heaven tier flying sword. The white flying sword that Old Tan took out had reached the high-grade heaven tier. "I'll suffer a bit of a loss. I'll use a high-grade heaven tier flying sword to bet with your low-grade heaven tier flying sword," Old Tan said nonchalantly as he waved the white flying sword in his hand. "You!" Feng Zi's expression was somewhat ugly. Old Tan was clearly looking down on him. But on second thought, it was very worth it to be able to use a middle-grade heaven tier flying sword to win a high-grade heaven tier flying sword. Chi. Right at this time, the Yuan Qi protective shield in front of Ning Yu once again erupted with a sizzling sound. It actually became shaky as though it was about to shatter. "Ha ha ha, kid, hand over the middle-grade heaven tier flying sword in your hand. You're going to lose." Seeing the situation, Old Tan laughed and extended his palm as he said, "Ning Yu hasn't lost yet. Don't get cocky too early." Although he said so verbally, Feng Zi began to worry in his heart. With Ning Yu's current state, it was very clear that his Yuan Qi was about to be depleted and could not hold on anymore. Feng Zi was very puzzled. He was aware of Ning Yu's strength. It was not difficult to withstand 60% of Old Tan's aura suppression. Why was it so strenuous now? "Kid, even Ning Yu can't withstand 60% of my aura suppression. It can be imagined if I display 100%. What?" However, just as Old Tan wanted to mock a few words, his expression changed drastically. In the next instant, he unleashed all the aura in his body, crushing towards Ning Yu frenziedly. Because just as Ning Yu was about to be unable to hold on, large amounts of Yuan Qi gushed out in his sea of consciousness once again. The Yuan Qi protective shield instantly became indestructible. That was also to say that 60% of his aura suppression was already unable to shake the Yuan Qi protective shield around Ning Yu. Hence, he could only unleash 100% of his aura suppression, hoping to shatter the Yuan Qi protective shield around Ning Yu. 100% of the aura suppression surged towards Ning Yu frenziedly. In virtually an instant, it squeezed Ning Yu's Yuan Qi protective shield until there was not much left. No matter how much Yuan Qi you have, under my 100% aura suppression, it's still F***ck. The corners of Old Tan's mouth curled into a hint of an evil smile. He was just about to mock a few words like last time, but his eyes went wide, his face full of stupefaction. He even cursed out loud. Buzz. Ning Yu's sea of consciousness was like a bottomless pit. Every time his Yuan Qi was depleted, large amounts of Yuan Qi would inevitably gush out. With the addition of so much Yuan Qi, it caused the Yuan Qi light shield around Ning Yu to be abnormally firm. No matter how Old Tan suppressed, he could not shatter the Yuan Qi protective shield. In a blink of an eye, half an hour passed. The current Old Tan was covered in sweat and had long lost the high-spirited spirit from back then. 50 minutes passed. Old Tan unleashed his aura like a maniac, attempting to impact the protective shield in front of Ningyu once again. 1 hour. In a blink of an eye, an hour passed. Bean-sized beads of sweat appeared on Old Tan's forehead, his face revealing a look of disappointment. Old man, an hour is up. Can you give me the white flying sword in your hand now? The moment the time was up, Feng Zi shouted, not leaving any face for Old Tan at all. Can I renege on a debt? With a low cry, Old Tan flicked his wrist, directly throwing the white flying sword in his hand at Feng Zi. But Feng Zi was long prepared. The instant the white flying sword flew out, his figure flashed and caught it firmly in his hand. Chapter 436. Invitation, brat. I'll leave my high-grade heaven-tier flying sword with you for now. If there's a chance, I'll win it back. Old Tan said coldly, clearly brooding over losing a high-grade heaven-tier flying sword. Although Old Tan was an initial-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, a high-grade heaven-tier flying sword was also considered a very precious magic treasure in his hands. One had to know that ordinary yin-yang realm martial artists mostly used middle-grade heaven-tier magic treasures. I'm looking forward to the next bet with you. Feng Zi was clearly not afraid of Old Tan. Come to Xikong Ling's house. Withstanding Old Tan's oppressive aura, Ningyu did not hesitate in the slightest and took the lead to walk towards Xikong Ling's residence. If not for Old Tan stopping him, Ningyu would have reached Xikong Ling's house an hour ago and might have already seen Lu Wei and the rest. After wasting an hour here, Ningyu felt somewhat displeased in his heart. Swish. However, just as Ningyu moved his feet, Old Tan's figure flashed and blocked in front of him. Ningyu, actually, I came here this time mainly to represent His Majesty to invite you to Tianyuan Tower. Old Tan said in a deep voice, you weren't in the capital the last time. There shouldn't be any problems this time, right? Inviting me to Tianyuan Tower again? Ningyu frowned slightly and his expression turned somewhat ugly. An invitation must look like an invitation. With Old Tan's invitation method, forget about him not wanting to go in the first place. Even if he wanted to go in the first place, he would definitely not go now. Without a doubt, Ningyu shook his head and said indifferently, not today. I still have something to do today. Another day. As his voice fell, Ningyu bypassed Old Tan and walked forward. Ningyu, you don't have to go, but I have to remind you of one thing. This time, Elder Tan did not continue to stop Ningyu. Instead, he said with a faint smile, His Majesty has already prepared a banquet in the Tianyuan restaurant. There are many people you are familiar with there. The first prince, the third prince, and the sixth prince are among them. Furthermore, there's also the Zhang family's peerless genius Zhang Tianwen, the Alchemy Guild's peerless genius Ren Xiangtian, the Black Market's young master Xikong Ling, the Xiao family's Xiao Yu, the Snow Domain Pavilion's Lu Wei. Initially, when Ningyu heard Old Tan's words, he didn't think much of it and continued to move forward. However, when he heard the last part, Ningyu's expression finally changed, and his footsteps gradually came to a halt. If I remember correctly, the Tianyuan Tower belongs to the sixth prince, Ouyang Yuan, Ningyu said in a deep voice. What is the Emperor's intention in setting the banquet there? I'm only responsible for passing the message. I don't know anything else. Seeing that he had piqued Ningyu's interest, Old Tan smiled and said, I have already passed on the message. As for whether you will go or not, that is not something I can control. We will meet again. Buzz. Buzz. The instant the word met fell, Old Tan tore the void and immediately disappeared. After Old Tan disappeared, Ningyu's expression turned completely gloomy, and his entire body even emitted a smear of killing intent. Swish. Sensing the killing intent from Ningyu's body, Feng Zi's heart shuddered, and he couldn't help but take a few steps back. Ningyu, the Tianyuan Tower, are we going? After a while, when the killing intent from Ningyu's body dissipated, Feng Zi asked hesitantly. Go. Xikong Ling and Lu Wei are at the Tianyuan Tower. Even if I have to go through a mountain of daggers or a sea of flames, I still have to make a trip, Ningyu said coldly. There's no time to lose. Shall we depart now? Feng Zi might not be a citizen of the Great Xia Kingdom, but he more or less had some understanding of the Great Xia Kingdom's capital. At the very least, he knew that the Tianyuan Tower was a business under the sixth prince. In Feng Zi's opinion, it wasn't the emperor who invited Ningyu today. It was highly possible that it was a scheme of the sixth prince to rope in Ningyu. After all, the contest for the position of crown prince had already reached a critical juncture. Whichever prince could win over Ningyu would occupy an advantageous position in the contest for the position of crown prince. Don't get involved in this matter. I'll go by myself. Ningyu knew that the trip to the Tianyuan Tower was destined to be fraught with grim possibilities, and there was no need to drag Feng Zi into it. After all, Feng Zi was still burdened with a blood feud. If something happened to him in the Tianyuan Tower, he would feel guilty. Ningyu, you're treating me like an outsider by saying that. Feng Zi was obviously unhappy, and his expression was somewhat gloomy. If it wasn't for you, I might have already died in the hands of the Tai sect. So no matter what, you have to bring me along on this trip to the Tianyuan Tower. Even if you don't bring me along, I'll still go to the Tianyuan Tower. Wouldn't it be the same then? Hearing Feng Zi's words, Ningyu fell into deep thought. A minute later, Ningyu said solemnly, I can let you go, but you have to listen to me for everything. Remember not to act impulsively. No problem. Feng Zi patted his chest and guaranteed. Let's go to the Tianyuan Tower. Since he had decided to go to the Tianyuan Tower, Ningyu immediately turned around and sprinted in the direction of the Tianyuan Tower. The Tianyuan Tower corresponded to Xikong Ling's residence and was not too far away. Before long, Ningyu and Feng Zi appeared in front of a luxurious loft. This is the Tianyuan Tower. Looking at the luxurious loft in front of him, Feng Zi muttered, as expected of one of the iconic buildings of the Great Xia Kingdom. It is indeed high-end and classy. Even in the Lan Qin Kingdom's capital, this building can be considered a top-notch building. Ningyu didn't pay attention to how luxurious the Tianyuan Tower was. He only had one thought right now, and that was to quickly enter the Tianyuan Tower and find Lu Wei, Xikong Ling, and Xiao Yu. At first, Ningyu suspected that Elder Tan was lying to him, but the moment he stood in front of the Tianyuan Tower, he knew that Elder Tan wasn't lying to him. Because inside the Tianyuan Tower, Ningyu felt a trace of an extremely familiar scent. That scent originated from the unique scent of a creation realm expert. Also, there was a trace of soul spirit force that he left on Lu Wei's body. Back then, in order to ensure Lu Wei's safety, Ningyu quietly left a trace of soul spirit force on her body. Right now, he could determine that Lu Wei was inside the Tianyuan Tower. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu tried his best to calm himself down and walked towards the Tianyuan Tower with large stride. Please wait and show me your invitation. However, just as Ningyu stepped into the Tianyuan Tower, a servant blocked his way. Invitation? What invitation? Ningyu was slightly taken aback as he asked curiously. Haha, the Tianyuan Tower is a place of honor. Warriors without an invitation are not allowed to enter. The servant grinned. Although the servant's smile was a little bright, Ningyu still felt that there was a dagger hidden in his smile, and it was very unreal. Furthermore, Ningyu also realized that this servant was different from the other servants in front of the restaurant. His cultivation had reached the shocking pinnacle of the primal core stage. In fact, he was only a step away from advancing to the yin-yang stage. Using a pinnacle of the primal core stage warrior as a gatekeeper, even the palace wouldn't have the guts to do so, right? Frowning, Ningyu said in a low voice, Are you sure you want to ask me for an invitation? Chapter 437. Sparring, he noticed me? Ning Yu's gaze caused a few young men by the window on the third floor to change their expressions as they thought the same thing. There were 3 young martial artists in the room. If Ning Yu was here, he would have noticed that he was very familiar with 2 of them. The Zhang clan's genius, Zhang Tianwen, the Great Xia Kingdom's eldest prince. Other than the 2 martial artists that Ning Yu was familiar with, there was also a young martial artist with a folding fan. Eldest prince, this Ning Yu is not simple. I can't sense the strength of his soul power. The man with the folding fan frowned and said to the eldest prince, if I'm not wrong, his soul power is also grade 5. So what if he has a grade 5 soul power? This time, I will make sure that he will not return. Before the crown prince could say anything, Zhang Tianwen snorted coldly, Ren Xiangtian, don't flatter others and belittle yourself. No matter what, you're still the peerless genius of the Alchemy Union. I am just stating the facts. Ren Xiangtian was not angry. Don't say that I didn't warn you. You are still slightly weaker than Ning Yu in terms of soul power. Ever since he was defeated by Ning Yu, Zhang Tianwen had been working hard. Not only did he advance to the early primal core stage, but his soul power had also reached the middle stage of grade 5. Zhang Tianwen had been suppressing his anger, wanting to defeat Ning Yu in a fair and square manner. This was a great opportunity and he naturally would not miss it. Ren Xiangtian, why don't we make a bet? Zhang Tianwen asked. Let's hear it, Ren Xiangtian said calmly. Let's bet on whether Ning Yu can enter the Tianyuan building. Zhang Tianwen said proudly. Of course, Ning Yu will definitely be able to enter the Tianyuan building. Ren Xiangtian shrugged. The peak primal core martial artist in front of the Tianyuan building is probably not a match for Ning Yu. Really? Raising an eyebrow, Zhang Tianwen said, if I were to tell you that the martial artist at the peak of the primal core stage outside is the first young master of the black market, how would you feel? What? Even Ren Xiangtian, who thought highly of Ning Yu, was shocked when he heard this. The number 1 young master of the black market was considered one of the top geniuses in the Great Xia Kingdom's capital. It could be said that if all the prodigies in the Great Xia Kingdom were combined, the number 1 young lord of the black market would at least be in the top 10. He might even have the chance to be in the top 3. There's no need to damage our friendship for a mere Ning Yu. At this moment, the first prince, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke up, acting as a peacemaker. The reason why the number 1 young master of the black market is waiting for Ning Yu in front of the Tianyuan Tower is completely because of my father's wishes. Ren Xiangtian frowned slightly as he asked in puzzlement, that's right, why did His Majesty gather us at the Heaven Yuan building this time? I'm not sure about the specifics. The first prince shook his head and said, but there's one thing I do know. Not only did His Majesty invite you and me, he also invited many prodigies from the capital. If I remember correctly, no less than 5 of the top 10 prodigies in the entire capital are here. Whoosh! As the first prince and the others were conversing, the peak primal core practitioner at the main entrance of the Tianyuan Tower spread his hands and said, if you really don't have an invitation, I have no choice but to not let you in. If that's the case, I can only take my leave. With that, Ning Yu turned around and left without a moment's delay. Looking at Ning Yu's departing figure, the peak primal core practitioner was somewhat dumbfounded. Why did Ning Yu not play by the rules? Well, Ning Yu, please wait a moment. Actually, you can enter the Tianyuan Tower without an invitation. Zhou Jianming cursed inwardly. If not for the fact that the emperor had asked him to test Ning Yu, he would not have pretended to be a guard boy here. After all, he was the dignified first young master of the black market, and the most likely candidate to become the next master of the black market. Are you sure there's another way to enter the Tianyuan Tower? Ning Yu stopped in his tracks, turned around, and once again arrived at the entrance of the Tianyuan Tower. I am very sure. As long as you can withstand 3 blows from me, you can enter the Tianyuan Tower unconditionally, Zhou Jianming said. Well, may I be so bold as to ask a question? After a moment's hesitation, Ningyu said, Can you tell me your true identity? That's simple. Withstand 3 blows from me, and I will naturally tell you. Zhou Jiaming took a step forward and extended his palm, making an inviting gesture. You can make the first move. If I make the first move, you might not even be able to withstand a single blow. Ningyu, let me test him and see what he's capable of. Just as Ningyu was about to make his move, Fengzi, who was beside him, pressed down on his shoulder and said in a low voice, Previously, you didn't let me attack that old man. This time, it should be my turn. In Fengzi's eyes, although the warrior in front of him was at the peak of the primal core stage, he was not weak. Even withstanding 8 to 10 blows would be very easy, let alone 3. Therefore, Fengzi wanted to help Ningyu block the attacks from this primal core warrior. Fengzi was very clear that they had already encountered many obstacles before entering the Tianyuan Tower. Once they entered the Tianyuan Tower, the obstacles would definitely increase. All he could do was to do everything possible to help Ningyu block these attacks and let Ningyu have a good rest so that he could face the next challenge. Be careful, he's not weak. This time, Ningyu did not stop Fengzi. Instead, he reminded him, try not to compete with him in terms of Yuan Qi. He is at the peak of the primal core stage. If you compete with him in terms of Yuan Qi, you will be the one at a disadvantage. Understood. Taking a deep breath, Fengzi took a step forward and said in a low voice, Let me spar with you. You? I, Zhou Jiaming, do not fight with nameless people. Tell me your name, Zhou Jiaming said proudly. Defeat me and I will naturally tell you. With a cold look in his eyes, Fengzi immediately leaped up and punched towards Zhou Jiaming's chest with a violent Yuan Qi gust. Whoosh whoosh. Fengzi's punch was extremely powerful and fast. If an ordinary peak of the primal core stage warrior was hit, they would definitely be severely injured. Bang! But Zhou Jiaming was different. He was the first young master of the black market and his body was abnormally strong. Faced with Fengzi's powerful attack, he did not dodge. The result was obvious. Fengzi's fist landed on Zhou Jiaming's chest. A crisp sound rang out. Immediately, Fengzi's figure retreated quickly. On the other hand, Zhou Jiaming stood where he was and did not move an inch. The strength of your body is actually comparable to a yin-yang stage warrior. After the first move, Fengzi's face completely darkened. He had originally thought that his full-strength attack would be able to severely injure Zhou Jiaming. Who would have thought that Zhou Jiaming did not move at all? Instead, he retreated a few steps before stabilizing himself. Chapter 438. Weakness. Who's the martial artist fighting with Zhou Jiaming? Shouldn't it be Ningyu fighting Zhou Jiaming? On the 3rd floor of the Tianyuan Tower, Ren Xiangtian watched the martial artist fighting with Zhou Jiaming from the window. Fengzi, early primal core stage. He's not weak. The first prince said in a low voice after Ren Xiangtian's words. The first prince would never forget the scene of his battle with Fengzi in Wutuo City. At that time, Fengzi had inexplicably broken his wind-chasing palm. He had always been brooding over it and wanted to spar with Fengzi again. If this wasn't the Tianyuan Tower, he would have gone to spar with Fengzi long ago. First Prince, you know him? Ren Xiangtian said hesitantly. Fengzi and Zhou Jiaming, who's stronger and who's weaker? Although Fengzi is very strong, Zhou Jiaming is one of the top 10 geniuses in the capital. Fengzi is definitely not his match. The first prince said indifferently, If I'm not wrong, Zhou Jiaming will defeat Fengzi in the next move. Swish. At this moment, Zhou Jiaming rose from the ground in front of the main entrance of the Tianyuan Tower and charged at Fengzi at an astonishing speed. Zhou Jiaming didn't want to waste time and decided to take the initiative in his second move. In his view, Fengzi was only an early primal core stage martial artist. As long as he used his full strength, Feng Zi would definitely not be able to withstand it. Therefore, he displayed the aura of a peak primal core stage martial artist and frantically pressed towards Feng Zi. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, Feng Zi forcefully endured the pain from his wrist and quickly retreated. As he retreated, Feng Zi poured Yuan Qi into his fist, wanting to fight Zhou Jiaming head-on. Don't fight him head-on. Only by keeping some distance will you have a chance of winning. Suddenly, Ning Yu's voice sounded in Feng Zi's ear, causing him to be slightly taken aback. Haha, it's not good to be distracted while fighting with me. However, while Feng Zi was still in a daze, the corners of Zhou Jiaming's mouth curled up and he said with a smile, "You've lost in the second move." Before Zhou Jiaming finished, his eyebrows twitched as he revealed an expression of disbelief. Because he realized that Feng Zi's speed had instantly skyrocketed, and he was actually not slower than him. In other words, even if he chased with all his might, it would be very difficult for him to catch up to Feng Zi in a short period of time. "Do you only know how to dodge?" Zhou Jiaming said coldly. "Since that's the case, I'll let you know my power." Zhou Jiaming was very angry. He only wanted to defeat Feng Zi and then fight with Ningyu. Who would have thought that Feng Zi's speed was so fast, giving him a headache? Therefore, he made up his mind to teach Feng Zi a lesson no matter what. Only then would he be able to resolve the hatred in his heart. Feng Zi, attack Zhou Jiaming's right hand with all your might. That's his weakness. Ning Yu's voice once again sounded out by Feng Zi's ear. His right hand was once injured, and it still hasn't recovered. As long as you attack his right hand with all your strength, not to mention 3 moves, even 30 moves with him can be easily accomplished. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Feng Zi instantly stopped. The next moment, he threw a backhand punch directly at Zhou Jiaming's right hand. What? Initially, Zhou Jiaming was very happy to see Feng Zi stop in his tracks and fight with him. However, when he saw Feng Zi attack his right hand, his expression changed drastically. In the process of going out to hunt demonic beasts, his right hand suffered a heavy injury and was almost broken. If not for the black market paying a huge price to protect his right hand, his strength would have been reduced by at least several times. Even so, his strength had not recovered to its peak state. How on earth did he know that my right hand was injured? Zhou Jiaming was very puzzled. How did Feng Zi know that his right hand was injured? One must know that even in the capital, other than a few higher-ups in the black market, very few people knew that his right hand was injured. Haha, it's not good to be distracted when fighting with me. Feng Zi smiled slightly and returned the same words to Zhou Jiaming. Do you think you're my match just like that? Too naive. With a cold snort, Zhou Jiaming and Feng Zi started fighting. As Feng Zi's every attack was aimed at Zhou Jiaming's right hand, Zhou Jiaming did not gain the upper hand for a while. Both parties were evenly matched. Feng Zi's strength seems to have become much stronger all of a sudden. On the 3rd floor of Tianyuan Building, Ren Xiangtian had been paying attention to the fight between Feng Zi and Zhou Jiaming. Feng Zi went from being at a disadvantage to being able to contend with Zhou Jiaming in just a minute. How on earth did Feng Zi achieve a counterattack in a minute's time? It's not that Feng Zi's strength became stronger, but he found Zhou Jiaming's weakness. The eldest prince said with a gloomy expression. As the eldest prince of the Great Xia Kingdom, his intelligence network was very powerful. In the capital, there were only a handful of people who knew about Zhou Jiaming's injury, and he was one of them. What weakness does Zhou Jiaming have? At this time, Zhang Tianwen, who had been silent all along, asked in confusion. He's the black market's #1 young master, the most advantageous contender for the next black market master. How could he have a fatal weakness? Everyone has a weakness, it's just that outsiders don't know about it. The eldest prince looked meaningfully at Zhang Tianwen and said, I won't tell you Zhou Jiaming's weakness. If you want to know, you can fight him yourself and test him. Being stared at by the eldest prince, Zhang Tianwen's heart tensed up, and he vaguely felt that something was wrong. Could it be that the eldest prince knows about my weakness too? With that thought in mind, Zhang Tianwen said without batting an eyelid, "I'll fight Zhou Jianming sooner or later, but not now because I don't want to take advantage of him." You're speaking as if you're Zhou Jianming's opponent." Ren Xiangtian curled his lips and laughed. "Zhou Jianming is the black market's #1 young master. You can only last tens of moves against him at most. Ren Xiangtian, do you want to have a spar with me?" Zhang Tianwen was furious and said coldly, "Let me see how powerful the Alchemy Union's peerless genius is. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Ren Xiangtian did not flinch, and responded coldly as well. Suddenly, a scream rang out from the entrance of Tianyuan Tower, causing the passers-by to stop in their tracks. "Isn't that Ningyu? What is he doing in front of Tianyuan Tower? Why isn't he going in? Maybe he's waiting for someone." "Waiting for someone? Didn't you see that the warrior next to Ningyu is fighting with the Peak Primal Core Warrior?" "What Peak Primal Core Warrior?" "He's the black market's #1 young master, Zhou Jianming." "The black market's #1 young master? He looks like he's in pain, and his right hand seems to be injured." The passers-by turned their attention to the main entrance of Tianyuan Tower, or more accurately, to Zhou Jianming. At this moment, Zhou Jianming was obviously in great pain. He was squatting on the ground, his left hand clutching his right wrist. Even his forehead was covered in beads of sweat. Chapter 439. Injuries under Ning Yu's guidance. Feng Zi's every move was aimed at Zhou Jianming's right hand. In just 3 moves, he defeated Zhou Jianming. After defeating Zhou Jianming, Feng Zi went straight to the point. Without any flourishes, he said, "Thankfully, I was the one who attacked. If it were Ningyu, I'm afraid you wouldn't have been so lucky. The winner is king and the loser is in the wrong. Since you agreed to the bet, you must accept your loss. Go in." Zhou Jianming still had some pride. He did not continue to make things difficult for Ningyu and Feng Zi. Instead, he moved slightly to the side, leaving a path for Ningyu and company. "The injury on your right hand has already reached the tendons and bones. If it is not treated in time, there might be repercussions." Ningyu did not enter Tianyuan restaurant immediately. Instead, he stopped in front of Zhou Jianming and whispered, "Don't inject any yuan qi into your right hand for the next 3 days. Otherwise, your right hand will be completely crippled." With that said, Ningyu entered Tianyuan restaurant without looking back, leaving behind a shocked Zhou Jianming. By now, Zhou Jianming had almost understood everything. The warrior who knew that his right hand was injured was not Feng Zi, but Ningyu. In the beginning, he had looked down on Ningyu. In the end, Ningyu was the most impressive person. "I also want to be treated in time. Unfortunately, today's banquet is very important. I must attend." Taking a deep breath, Zhou Jianming walked towards Tianyuan restaurant unwillingly. Zhou Jianming was well aware of the injury on his right hand. Even if he did not exchange blows with Feng Zi, he would not be able to last long. The black market expert who treated him previously had said that unless someone had extreme control over soul power and personally joined up his tendons and meridians, the consequences would be dire. However, there were very few warriors who had extreme control over soul power. At the very least, in the vast capital, only the patriarchs of Danwu College and the royal family could do it. Inviting the patriarchs of Danwu College and the royal family to treat him? What a joke! With his status in the black market, it was impossible for them to do everything they could to treat him. The only thing the black market could do was to alleviate his injuries from time to time. It was extremely difficult to completely heal him. As soon as he stepped into the heavenly Yuan Tower, Ningyu felt no less than 10 spiritual perceptions sweep over him. There were even a few soul forces that wanted a yard after taking an inch. Not only did they sweep over his body, they even wanted to enter his sea of consciousness to investigate. Humph! With a cold snort, Ningyu released his soul perception and counterattacked. Pucci! Ningyu's counterattack was very strong. In one of the rooms on the second floor of the Tianyuan restaurant, an early primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner spat out a mouthful of fresh blood as he hurriedly retracted his soul perception from Ningyu. Puff, puff. In one of the rooms on the third floor, two late primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners felt their hearts skip a beat. Without any hesitation, they immediately retracted their spiritual senses. Even so, these two late primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners still suffered a strong blow from Ningyu and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. It was obvious that their souls had suffered a certain degree of damage. When Ningyu released his soul perception, Feng Zi stood where he was and did not move. Only when Ningyu retracted his soul perception did he ask in a low voice, "Where are we going now?" "The third floor." Ningyu's gaze moved back and forth on the third floor, finally stopping at a room in the corner of the third floor. That room. With that, Ningyu strode towards the third floor. Behind him, Feng Zi didn't say a word and followed with large strides. Whoosh! However, before Ningyu could enter the third floor, a figure flashed in front of him and blocked his way. This sudden change caused Ningyu's expression to turn ugly as he lifted his head to look. Zhang Tianwen. Looking at the familiar figure in front of him, Ningyu was slightly shocked. "Haha, I didn't expect you to still remember me." Zhang Tianwen smiled slightly and said, "Ningyu, are you interested in sparring with me?" After a short moment of shock, Ningyu said lightly, "Early primal core stage cultivation, 5th grade middle stage soul strength. Looks like you've been training hard these few days." "You're not bad yourself, late true martial stage cultivation, 5th grade soul strength." Zhang Tianwen wanted to imitate Ningyu and show off, but found that Ningyu's soul strength was rather vague. With his perception, he could only detect that Ningyu's soul strength was 5th grade. "I'm not interested in sparring with you, don't block my way." Ningyu was not interested in sparring with Zhang Tianwen. Now he only wanted to quickly see Lu Wei and Xikong Ling. As for sparring with Zhang Tianwen, he did not have that much time. "What, you don't dare to spar with me?" Zhang Tianwen moved his feet and firmly blocked Ningyu's path. Furthermore, he slightly raised his voice and said in a clear voice, "Last time during the Danwu College's Sacred Institute examination, I had just come out of seclusion and my cultivation was not considered stable. You took the initiative. This time, my cultivation has completely stabilized. Whether it's an alchemy battle or a martial battle, choose one and I'll accompany you to the end." Zhang Tianwen's words were very knowledgeable, and the meaning was very obvious. The reason why he lost to Ningyu previously was completely because his cultivation was not stable, and Ningyu had an unfair advantage. This time, when he came out of seclusion and completely stabilized his cultivation, he once again issued a challenge to Ningyu. If Ningyu did not agree, it meant that he was afraid of him. "You're the other core disciple of Danwu College's Sacred Institute?" Before Ningyu could speak, Feng Zi took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "How about I spar with you?" "You?" Zhang Tianwen's gaze swept across Feng Zi's body, then he extended a finger and shook it, saying, "You're still not qualified. Against you, I only need 3 moves to defeat you." "Humph! If you can defeat me in 3 moves, Feng Zi snorted coldly, obviously very angry at Zhang Tianwen's words. However, before he finished speaking, Ningyu's words sounded beside his ear. "Zhang Tianwen is very strong. You might not be able to last 3 moves against him." Shaking his head imperceptibly at Feng Zi, Ningyu turned around and said to Zhang Tianwen, "Give me a reason why I want to spar with you. Otherwise, no matter how you boast, I won't spar with you." If I say that it was my idea to invite Lu Wei and Xikong Ling over, is this reason sufficient? The corners of Zhang Tianwen's mouth curved into an arc as he said with a smile. It's indeed very sufficient. Ning Yu's expression was devoid of joy or sorrow as his indifferent words resounded in this area. Then let's fight. Ha ha ha, this is the Ning Yu I know. Looking up at the sky and laughing wildly, Zhang Tianwen immediately changed the topic and said coldly, I've waited for this day for a long time. Today, you're destined to suffer a crushing defeat. Why do you have so much nonsense to say? Ning Yu frowned slightly and said coldly. Crack. In the next moment, Ning Yu's feet fiercely stomped on the stairs and his body shot out explosively. The wooden stairs even cracked due to Ning Yu's great strength, emitting cracking sounds. Come at me. Chapter 440. Zhang Tianwen Swish. Zhang Tianwen's speed was very fast, and he appeared in front of Ning Yu almost instantaneously. He used his fist, which contained violent yuan qi, to strike fiercely at Ning Yu's chest. The yuan qi contained in Zhang Tianwen's fist caused Ning Yu's heart to tremble, and he was slightly shocked. Although Zhang Tianwen was only at the early primal core stage, the density of his yuan qi was not weak, and it was equivalent to a peak primal core stage warrior. In other words, based on the strength of yuan qi, Zhang Tianwen was comparable to a peak primal core stage warrior. Compared to the Danwu College's assessment, Zhang Tianwen's strength has increased by quite a bit. Zhang Tianwen is indeed the Zhang family's peerless genius. His cultivation is only at the early primal core stage, but he can already display such a powerful attack. Ning Yu will most likely be in danger if he fights with him. Not in danger? Haha, Ning Yu will definitely lose. Creak. Ning Yu and Zhang Tianwen were both core disciples of the Danwu College's Sacred Institute. This was their second clash, and many warriors naturally did not want to miss it. Therefore, all the warriors in the Tianyuan Tower opened their doors to observe the fight between Ning Yu and Zhang Tianwen. However, only one room's door was not opened, and that was the room where Xikong Ling and Lu Wei were. Can you open the door? In the sealed room, Lu Wei came to the door and asked a middle-aged man cautiously, Ning Yu is fighting with Zhang Tianwen outside. I want to, I'm sorry, but I can't help. Before Lu Wei could finish her sentence, the middle-aged man waved his hand and said, Unless there is an order from the emperor, I will definitely not open the door. Hearing this, Lu Wei revealed a disappointed expression. A day ago, the middle-aged man had suddenly come to Xikong Ling's house, and without a word, he had directly brought her, Xikong Ling, and Xiao Yu to the Tianyuan Tower. Since the middle-aged man was at the early stage of Yin-Yang realm, they could only choose to stay here. Hearing the conversation between Ning Yu and Zhang Tianwen just now, Lu Wei really wanted to go out and take a look. Unfortunately, the middle-aged man guarded the door like a door god, not moving at all. Lu Wei, save your strength. Ning Yu will definitely come to this room in a moment. We'll wait for him to personally open the door. Comparatively speaking, Xikong Ling was like a bodhisattva in meditation, sitting upright on the chair with his eyes slightly closed. Ouch! However, just as Xikong Ling finished speaking, Xiao Yu, who was next to him, kicked the chair and directly kicked Xikong Ling to the ground. Ning Yu is fighting Zhang Tianwen with all his might outside. Not only are you not going to help, but you're also talking nonsense here? Xiao Yu put her hands on her hips and said angrily, Do you believe that I won't teach you a lesson? Xikong Ling crawled up from the ground, scratched his head, and said awkwardly, I also want to go out and help, but with this door god here, I can't do anything. As he spoke, Xikong Ling pointed at the middle-aged man in front of the door. His meaning was self-evident. Humph! Although Xiao Yu's tone was very tough, she was directly discouraged when she saw the middle-aged man. With a cold snort, she turned her body around and angrily sat down on the chair. Bang! At the same time, in the lobby of the Heaven Yuan Tower, Ning Yu did not retreat, but instead advanced. He threw a backhand punch which collided with Zhang Tianwen's fist. A clear sound rang out, and soon after, the two figures rapidly retreated. Ning Yu only took 3 steps back before stabilizing his figure. On the other hand, Zhang Tianwen retreated a total of 5 steps before stabilizing his figure. With this blow, the superiority of the two was immediately determined. Ning Yu, I didn't think that you'd also improved so much in the past few days. After stabilizing his figure, Zhang Tianwen's expression was cold as he said in a low voice, "No wonder you're so arrogant," but, at this point, Zhang Tianwen paused for a moment, then changed the topic and said coldly, "You're still far from being able to defeat me with just this bit of strength." Swish. In the next moment, Zhang Tianwen once again dashed out. His body was like a sharp sword, rapidly charging towards Ning Yu. Chi. Compared to the first attack, Zhang Tianwen's speed was much faster, so much so that the friction between his clothes and the air produced a chi sound. Zhang Tianwen is angry. Zhang Tianwen must feel embarrassed that he failed to gain the upper hand in the first exchange. No matter what, he will give it his all in the second exchange. In my opinion, Ning Yu will definitely not be able to block this attack. The difference in cultivation between Ning Yu and Zhang Tianwen is too great. One is at the late true martial stage, the other at the early primal core stage. They can't be mentioned in the same breath. I'm more optimistic about Ning Yu. If Ning Yu can defeat Zhang Tianwen once, he'll be able to defeat him a second time, a third time, or even countless times. The second exchange between Ning Yu and Zhang Tianwen was finally not as one-sided as the previous one, where everyone believed that Ning Yu would lose. At the very least, there was a martial artist who favored Ning Yu. However, Ning Yu also recognized the martial artist who favored Ning Yu. It was Zhou Jianming, who had made things difficult for him in front of the Tianyuan restaurant. Seeing Zhang Tianwen's attack, Ning Yu's expression changed slightly, and he was somewhat moved. However, it was only a slight change. Zhang Tianwen had not used his full strength in the first exchange, and neither had Ning Yu. Buzz buzz. At this moment, Zhang Tianwen arrived in front of Ning Yu. His entire body's yuan qi burst out, and he unscrupulously pressed towards Ning Yu. After all this time, he wants to compete with me in yuan qi. Feeling the violent yuan qi attacking him, Ning Yu was slightly startled, then he smiled faintly and said, "Compared to other things, you still have a sliver of a chance of winning, but if it's a competition of yuan qi, you have no chance at all." In the next moment, Ning Yu's eyes turned cold, and the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness burst out, forming a protective barrier around him. Boom! The two ferocious yuan qis collided, but the victor was not immediately decided. Instead, they began to tangle. "You're only at the late true martial stage. I don't believe that your yuan qi is thicker than mine." Gritting his teeth, Zhang Tianwen completely poured out all the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness, crazily charging towards Ning Yu. In the face of Zhang Tianwen's powerful yuan qi, Ning Yu did not seem to care at all, appearing rather calm. What is Ning Yu doing? He dares not to use his full strength against Zhang Tianwen. Is he stupid? Ning Yu is definitely not stupid. His actions should be because he has a card up his sleeve. A card up his sleeve? That's not possible, after all, the gap between Ning Yu and Zhang Tianwen. What the hell? That's impossible. The last martial artist's eyebrows were tightly knitted together. Just as he was about to speak, his eyes widened as a dumbfounded look filled his face. Nearby, waves of extremely berserk yuan qi surged out from Ning Yu's sea of consciousness. With the addition of so much yuan qi, Zhang Tianwen's yuan qi did not last long before it was defeated. Underworld Tyrant Palm. After repelling Zhang Tianwen's yuan qi, Ning Yu roared in his heart. With a flick of his wrist, he instantly sent out a palm imprint. Netherworld Samsara Palm, fourth form, Underworld Tyrant Palm. Without the support of powerful yuan qi, Zhang Tianwen's strength dropped by at least 50%. With only 50% of Zhang Tianwen's strength left, Ningyu did not even need to use the Samsara palm, just the underworld tyrant palm was enough to defeat him. Not good. Chapter 441. Defeated in one move. I can't believe Ningyu is so powerful that even Zhang Tianwen could not last 3 moves against him. Haven't you noticed? Zhang Tianwen was defeated entirely because of his carelessness. That's right, Zhang Tianwen underestimated the extent of Ningyu's yuan qi. Otherwise, who knows who would have won? A loss is a loss. What's the point of finding so many excuses? I wonder if Ningyu will, what the hell? Shock was revealed on the faces of the martial practitioners in the Tianyuan Tower as they watched the palm continuously attack Zhang Tianwen. However, the most shocking thing was yet to come. Swish! A figure rapidly streaked past, appearing in front of Zhang Tianwen in the blink of an eye. Soon after, the figure waved his hand as a powerful palm appeared in the air. Ch. The 2 palms collided and disappeared at practically the same time. It's the first prince. Why did the first prince block that palm for Zhang Tianwen? He has a grudge with Ningyu. The first prince exchanged blows with Ningyu a few days ago in the capital, and even the little dragon sword was no match for Ningyu. Now that he has reached the early primal core stage, he naturally wants to spar with Ningyu. Although that's the case, the first prince's actions are a little unkind. Unkind? The winner is always right, there's nothing much to say. The Tianyuan Tower martial practitioners were instantly relieved when they discovered that the one who had attacked was the first prince. After all, the first prince had a grudge with Ningyu in the past, so there was nothing wrong with him taking action now. Ningyu, one should forgive and forget. There's no need to be so ruthless, right? After casually blocking Ningyu's underworld tyrant palm, the corners of the first prince's lips curled upwards as he said with a faint smile, "No matter what, you and Zhang Tianwen are both core disciples of Danwu College's Sacred Institute, so you should take care of each other." The first prince's words were dignified, as if Ningyu was trying to kill a fellow disciple. Ningyu's expression was somewhat gloomy. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen someone as shameless as the first prince. "Listen to my advice, the 2 of you should shake hands and make up." The eldest imperial prince acted as a peacemaker and said, Shake hands with him? Maybe in your next life." Zhang Tianwen coldly snorted and said, "I was careless just now. If he can defeat me again, I will shake hands with him. You're all students of Danwu College. There's no need to hurt your friendship over such trivial matters." The first prince continued to persuade, "If the 2 of you stop now, it will become a much-told story in the Great Xia Kingdom." Zhang Tianwen rolled his eyes and said proudly, "It's not impossible for me to stop here, but Ningyu has to defeat me in alchemy." "Ningyu, look." The eldest prince turned around and said to Ningyu. The eldest prince and Zhang Tianwen echoed each other and acted very realistically. However, it was a pity that Ningyu had already seen through it. "I'm not interested in competing in alchemy with someone who has already lost to me." Ningyu rejected the eldest imperial prince and headed straight for the 3rd floor. Ka. After being rejected by Ningyu in front of so many people, the eldest imperial prince felt that he had lost face, and his expression instantly turned gloomy. The eldest imperial prince clenched his fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. He said coldly, "Ningyu, don't be so shameless. I'm talking to you nicely because I think highly of you." "Oh, so you think highly of me?" Ningyu stopped in his tracks and said calmly, "If that's the case, then don't think highly of me. Think highly of Zhang Tianwen." With that, Ningyu walked toward the room where Lu Wei and the others were in without turning back. "You're courting death." The eldest imperial prince cursed under his breath and immediately leaped up, charging at Ningyu at an astonishing speed. After advancing to the early primal core stage, the eldest imperial prince's speed had not only increased exponentially, but even the key in his consciousness had increased tremendously. It was only fun to defeat someone in their own field of expertise. This was what the eldest Imperial Prince thought, and he did exactly that. Whoosh! The eldest Imperial Prince's fist contained a violent wave of ki, and in the blink of an eye, he arrived before Ningyu. Then, under the shocked gazes of the crowd, he viciously punched towards Ningyu's head. It was one thing to not make a move, but the moment he did, it was a killing move. The eldest Imperial Prince's ki is actually many times denser than Zhang Tianwen's. On the third floor of Tianyuan Tower, Ren Xiangtian felt the majestic ki on the eldest Imperial Prince's wrist, and was slightly moved. He had originally thought that the eldest Imperial Prince's abilities were only slightly higher than Zhang Tianwen's, but now it seemed that he was wrong. Conservatively speaking, even 3 Zhang Tianwen would not be a match for the eldest Imperial Prince. It looks like the eldest Imperial Prince is determined to become the crown prince this time. Zhou Jianming was also somewhat astonished. The eldest Imperial Prince's attack had most likely overturned the impression he had in many people's hearts. Ningyu, be careful. When the eldest Imperial Prince made his move, Feng Zi shouted to warn Ningyu. Ningyu did not seem to sense the approaching danger. He first smiled at Feng Zi, then turned to look at the eldest Imperial Prince. The next moment, Ningyu did something that shocked everyone. Looking at the fist that was approaching him, he slowly closed his eyes. What's going on? Has Ningyu been scared silly? That shouldn't be the case. With Ningyu's abilities, he can at least fight the eldest Imperial Prince. It's impossible for him to be scared silly. Could it be that he knows he's no match for the eldest Imperial Prince, so he's admitting defeat? Ningyu's sudden action once again caused a huge uproar in Tianyuan Tower. Many cultivators were extremely shocked. After all, Ningyu's current appearance was no different from someone who had given up on himself. Do you think I won't attack you just because you're acting stupid? Then you're too not good. Seeing Ningyu's appearance, the eldest Imperial Prince laughed coldly. He was just about to say a few harsh words when his expression changed drastically and he immediately retreated. This was because the eldest Imperial Prince felt that in that instant, he had lost connection with his sea of consciousness. There was no longer any primordial qi flowing into his wrist. Without the support of primordial qi, how could he possibly defeat Ningyu in the area that Ningyu was proficient in? However, it was impossible for Ningyu to give him the chance. In the instant that the eldest Imperial Prince retreated, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes. Like a cheetah, he appeared in front of the eldest Imperial Prince in the blink of an eye. Crack! Ningyu's fist struck out, colliding perfectly with the eldest Imperial Prince's fist. A crisp crack rang out. Then, the eldest Imperial Prince fell backward like a kite with its string cut. Bang! As expected, the eldest Imperial Prince landed heavily on the ground. A metallic taste came from his throat, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Swish! The eldest Imperial Prince's defeat caused the Tianyuan building to instantly fall silent. Many cultivators looked at the pale-faced cultivator on the ground in shock. They had never imagined that he would be defeated by Ningyu in a single move. Or had Ningyu's strength already reached a terrifying level? Even someone as powerful as the eldest Imperial Prince had been defeated by Ningyu in a single move. How many cultivators in the vast capital could contend against Ningyu? Fortunately, I left a wisp of spiritual force in the eldest Imperial Prince's body back in Wuda City. Otherwise, it would be almost impossible to defeat him in a single move. Ningyu felt very fortunate that he had left a wisp of spiritual force in the eldest Imperial Prince's body. Chapter 442. Testing Soul Power. The eldest prince stood up with difficulty and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He glared at Ningyu and said viciously, "What did you do to me? Why did I feel dazed for a moment?" "Did you feel dazed just now?" Ning Yu's reaction was a little exaggerated when he heard the eldest prince's words. His eyes widened as he said in shock, "Why didn't I know?" "I know." Immediately, Ning Yu's eyes lit up and he said in a clear voice, "You must have done something you shouldn't have done yesterday. In other words, you've overindulged in your desires." Ning Yu's voice was so loud that even the passers-by on the street stopped and stared at Tianyuan Tower, wanting to see what was going on inside. As for the many cultivators in Tianyuan Tower, they could not help but laugh. The more he indulged in lust, the more he could think. Damn it! The eldest prince's face was livid. He wanted nothing more than to kill Ning Yu immediately. "If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave." Ning Yu shrugged and walked towards the third floor. The eldest prince trembled with anger as he watched Ning Yu's back, but there was nothing he could do. He had not lost his rationality. Before he understood why he had lost contact with his sea of consciousness, he did not dare to act rashly. Ning Yu was very fast and arrived outside the room where Lu Wei and the others were in no time. However, Ning Yu did not enter the room immediately. Instead, he stopped in front of the door. "Ning Yu, why aren't you going in?" Feng Zi asked in confusion when he saw Ning Yu stop. "There's a yin-yang realm cultivator inside," Ning Yu said solemnly. Ning Yu was very shocked because he had only discovered a yin-yang realm cultivator when he arrived at the room. In other words, the yin-yang realm cultivator in the room had a very unique method of concealing his aura. Yin-yang realm cultivator? Feng Zi's heart went cold when he heard this, and he hurriedly displayed his perception. After a while, Feng Zi retracted his perception, and a serious expression appeared on his face. "Ning Yu, step back. I'll open the door." After pondering for a moment, Feng Zi said, "If I encounter any danger, leave immediately." What kind of joke is this? The cultivator inside is at the peak of the initial yin-yang realm. With your strength, if you don't use your trump card, you won't even be able to last one move against him. Shaking his head, Ning Yu took a step forward and arrived at the door. "Unrelated people, leave immediately." However, before Ning Yu's hand could touch the door, a berating voice rang out from inside. "Senior, I am acquainted with the cultivator inside. May I know if it is possible to open the door?" Ning Yu frowned slightly. However, he did not barge in. Instead, he asked, "It's Ning Yu." Inside the room, when Lu Wei heard Ning Yu's voice, her face lit up with joy as she shouted, "Don't make a fuss. I also know it's Ning Yu." Xiao Yu was much calmer, but her face also revealed a look of surprise. "It seems like he won't let Ning Yu in." Xikong Ling pointed at the yin-yang realm cultivator in front of the door and said in a low voice, "If you don't speak, no one will think you're mute." Xiao Yu said angrily, "If you have the ability, chase the door god away." "All right, pretend I didn't say anything." Helpless, Xikong Ling could only choose to shut up. Actually, Xikong Ling was right. The yin-yang realm cultivator's tone was a little cold as he shouted, "Unrelated people, leave immediately. Without the Emperor's written order, I won't open the door." The Emperor's written order? Outside the room, Ning Yu had a puzzled look on his face. Could it be that he needed the Emperor's permission to meet with Lu Wei and the others? Thinking of this, Ning Yu's face became very ugly. Thinking of this, the Emperor had clearly grasped his weakness. "Where is the Emperor?" Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu said in a deep voice. "Impudent! Where is the Emperor? Is that something you can ask?" The yin-yang realm cultivator in the room said coldly, "If you know what's good for you, leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." "What if I insist on going in?" Ning Yu's tone also became cold as he said. Ning Yu was very clear that the Emperor invited Lu Wei and the others over to force him to come over. There was no reason to not let him see Lu Wei after coming here. There was most likely only one purpose for the Emperor to do this. That was to test his true strength. First, it was Elder Tan, then Zhou Jianming, followed by Zhang Tianwen, the eldest prince. These cultivators did not defeat him, so it was very likely that the Yin-Yang realm cultivators would make a move next. If I didn't guess wrongly, the Emperor should also be in Tianyuan Tower. Ningyu's brows were tightly knitted as his gaze slowly swept across every room on the third floor. Subsequently, Ningyu shifted his gaze from the third floor to the fourth floor. Tianyuan Tower had a total of 4 floors. The first 3 floors had more rooms, but when it came to the fourth floor, there were only 3 rooms. Ningyu's gaze paused on the first 2 rooms for a second and the last room for 2 seconds. He discovered me? There were a total of 2 people in the last room. A middle-aged man and an old man. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely discover that he knew the old man. It was Elder Tan who sparred with him not long ago. The middle-aged man's brows slightly raised as he said indifferently, "Elder Tan, the protective barrier you set up doesn't seem to be very effective." Elder Tan looked a little awkward. "I'm not blaming you. After all, Ningyu is very strong. It's understandable that he could see through your protective barrier." The middle-aged man waved his hand, indicating for Elder Tan to not mind. Tell Lien Bin to test Ningyu's soul force. I want to know the exact strength of Ningyu's soul force. Yes, Elder Tan responded before taking out a crystal ball and engraving a few lines of words on it. At the same time, in a room on the 3rd floor of Tianyuan Tower, Lien Bin touched his chest and nodded his head slightly. Creak. In the next moment, Lien Bin opened the door. However, when Lu Wei and the rest wanted to come out, Lien Bin once again slammed the door shut. "Ningyu, if you can withstand the pressure of my soul force, I'll let you enter the room," Lien Bin said emotionlessly. "Withstand the pressure of your soul force?" Ningyu was slightly stunned before he looked at the Yin-Yang stage martial artist before him. The strength of an early stage 6th grade soul force. Realizing that the martial artist before him only had an early stage 6th grade soul force, Ningyu was slightly relieved. An early stage 6th grade soul force couldn't force him to use all his soul force. "I can withstand the pressure of your soul force, but before that, I have a question for you." Ningyu opened his mouth and a soft voice rang in Lien Bin's ears. "Is His Majesty in Tianyuan Tower?" Lien Bin's expression changed slightly when he heard the voice, and he couldn't help but regard Ningyu more highly. Ningyu had just used a spiritual voice transmission. Chapter 443. Lien Bin. "Ningyu, don't you think you're asking too much?" Lien Bin did not answer Ningyu's question. Instead, he said coldly, "As long as you can withstand my soul force pressure, then everything is negotiable. If you can't, then I can only apologize to you and invite you out of Tianyuan Tower. How long you resist is considered a success." Ningyu did not beat around the bush and asked directly, "Do you want to endure for 10 minutes or half an hour? You sure talk big. As long as you can endure for 3 minutes, I'll consider it your win." As soon as the word win was said, Lien Bin's body trembled. Then, all his soul force gushed out and pressed down on Ningyu without restraint. Lien Bin's soul force had reached the early stage of 6th grade. The method he used to test Ningyu's soul force was very simple. If Ningyu could endure for a minute, it meant that Ningyu's soul force had reached the early stage of 5th grade. If he could endure for 2 minutes, it meant that his soul force had reached the middle stage of 5th grade. If he could endure for 3 minutes, it meant that his soul force had reached the late stage of 5th grade. As for lasting for more than 3 minutes, Lien Bin did not think about it. Because a martial artist who could endure for more than 3 minutes under his soul force pressure must have reached the peak of 5th grade at the very least. Ningyu was so young. In Lien Bin's opinion, it was impossible for his soul force to reach the peak of 5th grade. Soul force of 6th grade, facing the soul force that was pressing down on him, Ningyu's expression did not change. His soul force gushed out and formed a soul force shield in front of him. Chi. Lien Bin's soul force met the shield and stopped on the spot, unable to move forward. Break! Lien Bin shouted in a low voice, controlling his soul force to crazily smash into Ning Yu's soul force protection shield. However, Ning Yu's soul force shield was unusually strong. No matter how Lien Bin attacked, it did not budge at all. In the blink of an eye, 1 minute passed. Ning Yu stood on the spot. The soul force shield in front of him was very strong. Not even a crack appeared. 2 minutes passed. Ning Yu crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at Lien Bin with interest. Could it be that his soul power has reached the late stage of 5th grade? As time passed, Lien Bin's expression became more and more solemn, but he could still maintain his composure. Voila! However, when the 3rd minute passed, Lien Bin's expression finally changed, and an incredulous look appeared on his face. Ning Yu was able to withstand the pressure of his soul power for 3 minutes, which meant that Ning Yu's soul power had probably reached the peak of level 5. At such a young age, the strength of his soul energy had already reached peak rank 5. This talent was truly terrifying. Even Danshinzi, the great Xia Kingdom's Danshinzi, when he was at Ning Yu's age, his soul force hadn't reached the peak of the 5th grade. His Majesty wants me to test the true strength of Ning Yu's soul. Since that's the case, I want to see how long Ning Yu can last. Lien Bin gritted his teeth. Pardon me for asking. At this moment, Ning Yu's voice slowly rang out. I've already endured for 3 minutes. Does that count as my win? Lien Bin was slightly stunned, and an awkward expression appeared on his face. He did say that as long as Ning Yu could last for 3 minutes, it would count as Ning Yu's win. Right now, he was completely breaking his promise. Ning Yu, you asked me a question just now. If you can last for 10 minutes under the pressure of my soul power, I can tell you if His Majesty is in the Tianyuan restaurant. Lien Bin's expression was a little ugly as he said in a low voice. I don't care. 10 minutes it is. It doesn't affect me much. Ning Yu shrugged, looking indifferent. Shameless boasting. With a cold snort, not only did Lien Bin unleash all the soul power in his body, he even used his Yuan Qi. Combining Yuan Qi and soul power, he strived to break through Ning Yu's soul power barrier as soon as possible. He's even unleashing his Yuan Qi. Ning Yu's perception was very strong, and he had sensed something the moment Lien Bin unleashed his Yuan Qi. However, Ning Yu was least afraid of the pressure of Yuan Qi. With the Yuan Qi in his 4 illusory golden cores, even Lien Bin, who was at the peak of early-stage yin-yang realm, might not be able to get the upper hand. Therefore, when Lien Bin unleashed his Yuan Qi, the Yuan Qi in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness quietly surged and entered the soul power barrier in front of him through his palm. As both of them had used their Yuan Qi and soul power, Ning Yu and Lien Bin were in a deadlock for a moment. I didn't expect Ning Yu's soul power to be so strong, Ren Xiangtian said solemnly as he locked his gaze on Ning Yu on the 3rd floor of the Tianyuan restaurant. Ren Xiangtian was a peerless genius in the Alchemy Union, and the strength of his soul power was very strong. Naturally, he could sense the strength of Lien Bin's early-stage 6th grade soul power. Although Ning Yu's soul power was a little vague, Ren Xiangtian could basically determine that Ning Yu's soul power was very strong. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to last so long under the pressure of Lien Bin's powerful soul power. Old Tan, you seem to have mentioned that Ning Yu's Yuan Qi is abnormally vigorous, the middle-aged man on the 4th floor of the Tianyuan restaurant said indifferently. On the 4th floor of the Tianyuan tower, the middle-aged man said indifferently, now that his soul force is so powerful, he's the best candidate for the royal family selection. Your Majesty, didn't you say that you want Ning Yu and the 3rd prince to go together? Old Tan frowned. I'm just saying. Don't take it seriously. Before Old Tan could finish his sentence, the middle-aged man waved his hand and smiled. It's very difficult for Lien Bin to test the strength of Ning Yu's soul power. Go and prepare. We'll start the selection in half an hour. Understood. Nodding his head, Old Tan slowly left the room. Dong, dong. After old Tan left, the middle-aged man rapped his fingers on the table and murmured, "Why isn't such a genius born in the royal family? Instead, Danwu College beat us to it." At the same time, in front of Lu Wei's room on the third floor of Tianyuan Tower, Lian Bin's expression was extremely ugly. Even if he executed his primordial qi, he couldn't break Ning Yu's soul power barrier. On the contrary, Ning Yu seemed to be about to counterattack. Fortunately, 10 minutes passed just as Ning Yu was about to counterattack. Lian Bin's expression was extremely helpless. Left with no choice, he could only withdraw his soul power and primordial qi back into his body. Sensing Lian Bin withdrawing his soul power and primordial qi, Ning Yu let out a long sigh of relief. His tense nerves relaxed a little. 10 minutes have passed. Ning Yu stared at Lian Bin. His meaning was self-evident. "All right, I'll tell you." Lian Bin was extremely unwilling, but he still whispered in Ning Yu's ear. "His Majesty is on the 4th floor of Tianyuan Tower." Shua. After saying that, Lian Bin's figure flashed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Looking at Lian Bin's disappearing figure, Ning Yu took a step forward and pushed the door with both hands. "It's indeed as I guessed. He should be in the 3rd room on the 4th floor." Creak. In the next instant the door was pushed open. "Ning Yu, I knew that you would be able to chase away that door god." "Ning Yu, it's great that you could come." Chapter 444. The Yuan Room. 3 voices sounded in Ning Yu's ears the moment he opened the door. No need to think, it was Xikong Ling, Lu Wei and Xiao Yu. "Speak inside." Ning Yu did not linger in front of the door, but walked into the room. As for Feng Zi, he followed closely behind Ning Yu, closing the door behind him. After entering the room, Ning Yu got straight to the point, asking, "Why are you guys at the Tianyuan Tower? Who brought you here?" "It's that door god just now." Xiao Yu was the first to speak. "A day ago, we were all at Xikong Ling's house, but who would have thought that door god would directly barge in and bring the 3 of us to the Tianyuan Tower?" "Door god?" That Yin-Yang early stage martial artist. Ning Yu was first taken aback, then said, "His strength is not weak, the 3 of you definitely can't stop him." "Ning Yu, this is all my fault, I couldn't." Xikong Ling said somewhat awkwardly. "This is not your fault." Ning Yu interrupted Xikong Ling's words, asking, "Do you know why that martial artist brought you to the Tianyuan Tower?" "I'm not sure about this." Xikong Ling shook his head, saying, "After we came to the Tianyuan Tower, this room has not been opened until you came." "Is that so?" Ning Yu's brows knitted tightly, falling into contemplation. Logically speaking, the Emperor definitely had a purpose for inviting Xikong Ling and the rest to the Tianyuan Tower, and it was most likely for him. However, there was one point that Ning Yu was very puzzled about. If it was just to lure him, the Emperor did not need to go through so much trouble. From this, it could be seen that the Emperor must have another purpose. Thinking up to here, Ning Yu's expression was somewhat solemn, saying in a deep voice, "Lu Wei, after returning to the capital, did you return to Snow Domain Pavilion?" "Snow Domain Pavilion has long been occupied by a mysterious force. How could I let Lu Wei return?" Before Lu Wei could speak, Xiao Yu said with mild anger. Back when Danwu College was recruiting students, Ning Yu had witnessed Xiao Yu's shrewdness. Compared to when she was at her peak, Xiao Yu was obviously much more restrained. "After we leave the Tianyuan Tower, you should go to the Sacred Institute of Danwu College for a few days. I'll go to the Snow Pavilion to explore." After a brief pause, Ning Yu said, "No matter how powerful His Majesty is, it's impossible for him to go to the Sacred Institute of Danwu College to capture people." "Ning Yu, I want to go with you." Hearing Ning Yu's words, Lu Wei hurriedly said, "This time, I'm only going to scout around. I might run into danger. You go to Danwu College with Xiao Yu and the others first." Ning Yu's tone was unquestionable as he said, "I'll come back to you after I'm done scouting around." "All right." Lu Wei pouted and said helplessly, Although Lu Wei's cultivation was not high, her IQ was not low. She knew that Ning Yu was doing this for her own good. After all, her cultivation was only at the Xiantian realm. If she went to the snow pavilion with Ning Yu, she would not be of any help at all. She would only cause trouble. Right, I don't seem to have seen the sixth Prince Ouyang Yuan in the Tianyuan Tower. Do you know where he went? Suddenly, Ning Yu seemed to have thought of something and asked. The Tianyuan Tower was the sixth prince's property. There was no reason for him not to be there. His Majesty has given the sixth prince and the third prince a mission. Si Kongling obviously knew where the sixth prince went. He explained, recently 2 peak 5th rank demonic beasts appeared in the Imperial hunting ground. Their strength is comparable to a half-step Yin-Yang realm martial artist. His Majesty has sent them to hunt the demonic beasts. Whoever completes the mission first can make a request to him at this banquet. As long as the request is not too excessive, he can agree to it unconditionally. Hearing this, Ning Yu's heart shuddered. Hunt a peak 5th rank demonic beast and agree to a request unconditionally? The current emperor was too bold. One must know that the first prince did not participate in this. Could the emperor be sending a message to the outside world to make the first prince the crown prince? Thinking of this, Ning Yu's face turned slightly ugly. He and the first prince were mortal enemies. If the first prince became the crown prince and successfully ascended to the throne as the emperor, he would suffer a disaster. Swoosh! Swoosh! Suddenly, 2 figures dashed out from the Tianyuan Tower and landed in the lobby in the blink of an eye. Bang! As soon as the 2 figures appeared, they instantly exchanged blows. However, they separated as soon as they came into contact, standing on both sides of the lobby. The sixth prince and the third prince are back at the same time. At the same time? Didn't you notice that the sixth prince is slightly faster than the third prince by a second? Is 1 second fast? At best, they can only be considered to be on par. The 2 figures were none other than the third prince and the sixth prince. At this moment, they were holding a demonic beast's head in their hands. When the 2 demonic beasts were alive, they were clearly peak 5th rank demonic beasts with strength comparable to half-step Yin-Yang realm. Third brother, how about you win this time? The sixth Prince Ouyang Yuan raised his brows and said indifferently, you can make a request in front of father later. Humph. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. I, Ouyang Hai, can afford to lose. The third Prince Ouyang Hai coldly snorted. Hee, since third brother is so modest, it would be impolite of me to refuse. Ouyang Yuan laughed. Sixth brother, you are only at the peak of the true martial realm. To be able to kill a peak 5th rank demonic beast, you must have used a lot of trump cards, right? Ouyang Hai said with a sinister smile. Ouyang Yuan was only at the peak of the true martial realm. With his strength, it would be difficult for him to defeat a peak 5th rank demonic beast, let alone kill one. You're not much better off. You used up a lot of the trump cards you prepared to go to West Mountain City to kill a peak 5th rank demonic beast. Ouyang Hai coldly said, be careful when you go to West Mountain City tomorrow. Don't encounter bandits and get killed. I don't need your concern when I go to West Mountain City. You should worry about your own matters. Ouyang Hai said in a dark voice, once I leave the capital, Big Brother will definitely not let me off. Third brother, isn't it a little unkind to speak ill of me behind my back? Before Ouyang Hai's voice faded, a figure slowly walked down from the 3rd floor. The figure stopped in front of Ouyang Hai and stared at him as he said with a smile, it is a joyous occasion that you and sixth brother succeeded in killing demonic beasts. Don't ruin the harmony because of this. Big brother, don't say it without feeling pain. Seeing the first prince appear, Ouyang Hai's tone was cold as he said, if I am not wrong, Ning Yu should have already arrived at Tianyuan restaurant. I wonder if you have sparred with him? At the mention of Ning Yu, the first prince's face instantly darkened. Ouyang Hai was really touching a sore spot. He had just been defeated by Ningyu, and Ouyang Hai was already mocking him. It was true that an aunt could endure, but an uncle could not. Cough cough. At this moment, 2 dry coughs rang out from the 4th floor of Tianyuan restaurant. Soon after, an old man slowly appeared in everyone's line of sight. This old man was Old Tan. Old Tan's gaze first scanned the entire Tianyuan restaurant, before he said in a clear voice, "All martial artists that I personally invite are to go to the 2nd Yuan room." Chapter 445. 2 Types of Tests Crash. As Elder Tan's voice fell, the Tianyuan tower became noisy. All the martial artists personally invited by Elder Tan left their rooms and headed for the 2nd Yuan room on the 4th floor. The martial artists invited by Elder Tan were at least at the early Yuan core stage. Any one of them was a well-known figure in the capital. Of course, Ningyu, a late-stage true martial realm martial artist, was an exception. As for the rest of the martial artists, they headed for the 3rd Yuan room. "Lu Wei, you guys weren't invited by Elder Tan, right?" Ningyu paced up and down in the room while a wisp of a solemn expression appeared on his face. He said, "With your strengths, you might encounter danger even if you go to room 3. Just now, Ningyu had quietly released his perception and discovered that the martial artists who entered the 3rd Yuan room were mostly at the peak of the true martial realm, and there were even a few who had reached the early Yuan core stage. Although Sikong Ling and Xiao Yu had entered Danwu College's Sacred Institute and were genius martial artists, which martial artist invited by the Emperor to the Tianyuan Tower was weak? After pondering for a moment, Ningyu said, "Feng Zi, you go with Sikong Ling and the others to the 3rd Yuan room. You must ensure their safety." Feng Zi's strength was not weak. Ningyu felt more at ease letting Feng Zi protect Sikong Ling and the others. Nodding, Feng Zi said, "No problem. As long as I'm here, I guarantee they won't encounter danger." "You?" Hearing Feng Zi's words, Xiao Yu's eyebrows twitched in disbelief. In the next instant, Xiao Yu's figure flashed, and a fist carried a violent gust of wind as it rumbled towards Feng Zi. Bang! Facing such a swift and fierce attack from Xiao Yu, Feng Zi stood in place without moving. He raised his right hand and unavoidably collided with Xiao Yu's fist. After one move, Feng Zi still stood in place without moving. On the other hand, Xiao Yu retreated to the edge of the room before stabilizing her figure. "You." Being at a disadvantage, Xiao Yu's face was filled with indignation. However, just when she wanted to make another move, Ning Yu's voice resounded, "Don't make a fuss. This matter is settled. Feng Zi will go with all of you to the 3rd Yuan room." Creak. Then, Ning Yu pushed open the door and walked out. "By the way, don't act rashly if you encounter any problems. Listen to Feng Zi's arrangements for everything." As soon as he stepped out of the door, Ningyu stopped and turned around. "Remember this, I won't offend those who don't offend me, but if someone offends me—" At this point, Ningyu paused for a moment and then said coldly, "If you can win, then fight. If you can't, then call me." After saying this, Ningyu left the room without looking back, leaving behind a dumbfounded Si Kongling and the others. Ningyu was too arrogant. If he could win, then fight. If he couldn't, then call him. A thought suddenly arose in the minds of Si Kongling and the others. If Ningyu couldn't win, then he would probably run. If Ningyu knew what Si Kongling and the others were thinking, he would definitely be very comforted. If he couldn't win and didn't run, wouldn't that be seeking his own death? There were a total of 3 rooms on the 4th floor of Tianyuan restaurant. They were the 3rd Yuan room, the 2nd Yuan room, and the 1st Yuan room. Before long, Ningyu arrived at the door of the 2nd Yuan room. Ningyu didn't hesitate and directly entered the room. Entering the room, Ningyu discovered that there were a total of 3 or 4 martial artists inside. Their cultivation ranged from the early to the late Yuan core stage. There was even a peak Yuan core martial artist. Due to Ningyu's earlier strong performance, These martial artists all smiled at Ningyu when they saw Ningyu enter. Of course, the Peak Yuan core martial artist's expression was indifferent, and he didn't even bat an eyelid. Ningyu didn't mind. He found a random chair and sat down, closing his eyes to rest. Swish. Swish. Not long after Ningyu sat down, two figures flashed by and entered the room. After these two ancient martial art practitioners entered, even the peak primal core ancient martial art practitioner could not help but raise his head to take a look, but very quickly looked away. Because these two martial artists were the third prince, Ouyang Hai, and the sixth prince, Ouyang Yuan. Subsequently, the eldest prince, Zhang Tianwen, and the first young master of the black market, Zhou Jianming, all entered the room. Swish. Following that, Ren Xiangtian entered the room. Huh! Seeing Ren Xiangtian, the Peak Yuan core martial artist in the room couldn't help but raise an eyebrow, and his lips curled into an evil smile. Ningyu, I heard that you're from the Tianqian City Alchemy Union and will be representing them in the alchemy competition this time? Ren Xiangtian's gaze swept across the room and finally landed on Ningyu. Moving his feet, Ren Xiangtian came to stand in front of Ningyu and said, "There are still 7 to 8 days until the alchemy competition. I look forward to fighting with you then." "You are?" Ningyu frowned slightly and asked doubtfully. "I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Ren Xiangtian, and I'm from the capital's Alchemy Union," Ren Xiangtian said as he slapped his forehead. "We'll talk about it when the time comes. If there are no accidents, I will definitely participate in the alchemy competition," Ningyu said lightly. "Ha ha ha!" Just then, a loud laugh sounded from outside the door. The person had not arrived, but the voice came first. Old Tan. The martial artist who entered the room was Old Tan. "All of you must be wondering why His Majesty has summoned all of you to the Tianyuan Inn." After laughing, Old Tan said in a clear voice, "His Majesty wants to choose 2 martial artists among you. Whoever is chosen can enter the Ice Manor unconditionally to cultivate for a day and night." Swish. Hearing Old Tan's words, the martial artists in the room were still rather rational and did not show any particular impulsive behavior. However, everyone had a trace of solemnity on their faces. In the Great Xia Kingdom, there were 3 sacred cultivation grounds, and the Ice Manor was one of them. It was already extremely difficult for the prodigies of the imperial family to enter the Ice Manor to cultivate for 2 hours, not to mention cultivating for a day and night. Very well. I won't say anything unnecessary. Next, I'll introduce some of the rules of the test. Old Tan was very satisfied with everyone's reaction and continued, "The test is divided into 2 aspects, the martial arts test and the alchemy test." "Old Tan, what is the martial arts test, and what is the alchemy test?" the first prince asked. Old Tan smiled and said, "The so-called martial arts test is where you fight in pairs. Whoever can fight to the end will be the final winner. As for the alchemy test, it is naturally a competition of alchemy." Old Tan continued, "You can choose the martial arts test or the alchemy test. You can even choose both, but the prerequisite is that you have the ability." "Do I have to participate in these 2 tests?" Ningyu frowned slightly and said without batting an eyelid, "If I don't participate in either test, will there be any impact?" "Don't participate in either test?" Old Tan was slightly startled. It was obvious that he was very doubtful about this request of Ningyu. The winner could unconditionally enter the cold ice mansion to cultivate for a day and a night. Ningyu was currently in the late stage of the true martial realm, but if he cultivated in the cold ice mansion for a day, he could even reach the peak of the true martial realm. What was he thinking? Why didn't he want to participate in the test? Chapter 446. Competing in alchemy. Ningyu glanced at Zhang Tianwen from the corner of his eye and ignored him. Instead, he nodded at Elder Tan and said, "Whether it's the martial arts assessment or the alchemy assessment, I don't want to participate." "I'm afraid you can't." This assessment was personally requested by His Majesty. If you don't agree, you'll be committing the crime of deceiving the Emperor. Elder Tan frowned and said, You've already angered His Majesty by not being in the capital previously. If you choose to withdraw this time, the consequences will be obvious. That's right. If it wasn't for His Majesty's magnanimity, he would have wiped out your entire family. Zhang Tianwen echoed. Zhang Tianwen, can I ask you a question? Suddenly, Ningyu came before Zhang Tianwen and asked. Zhang Tianwen was stunned, not knowing what Ningyu was up to. What question? Although Zhang Tianwen was puzzled, he still asked. Are you stupid? Ningyu shrugged and said indifferently. What? When Ningyu said that, Zhang Tianwen's eyes widened and his face was filled with disbelief. Very quickly, his face darkened completely. Ningyu called him a fool in front of so many people. It was obvious that he was not giving him face and did not take him seriously. Ningyu, I want to challenge you, Zhang Tianwen said angrily. However, Zhang Tianwen recalled how he was defeated by Ningyu and quickly changed the topic. I'm challenging you in alchemy. Do you dare to accept it? Competing in alchemy? Ningyu raised his brows and then raised his right hand. He shook his index finger and said, You're still lacking. You're not qualified. Ningyu, you're too arrogant. Zhang Tianwen is a mid-stage 5th grade alchemy master. How dare you say that he's not qualified? At this moment, the eldest prince said in a deep voice, You're the one who's not qualified, right? I don't need you to judge whether I'm qualified or not. If you're not convinced, you can give it a try. Ningyu rolled his eyes and instantly changed his mind. He said, I can accept this challenge, but I have a request. What request? Zhang Tianwen asked in a deep voice. It's very simple. If I defeat you in alchemy, you and the first prince will have to leave the Heaven Yuan building, Ningyu said without batting an eyelid. The first prince was a strong contender for the position of crown prince. If he performed well this time, then the 6th prince would lose his chance. As the saying goes, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. Moreover, Ningyu and Ouyang Yuan's relationship was not very bad. It would not be wrong to help Ouyang Yuan at this time. As expected, when Ningyu said this, Ouyang Yuan quietly nodded at Ningyu, his meaning self-evident. This, Ningyu's request, was a little special, and Zhang Tianwen could not decide on his own. For a moment, he was in a dilemma, and shifted his gaze to the first prince. The first prince's expression was somewhat ugly. Although he thought highly of Zhang Tianwen, a horse would stumble as well. If Zhang Tianwen lost, would he really have to leave the Heaven Yuan building? Perhaps sensing the first prince's worry, Ningyu continued, First prince, if you're afraid that Zhang Tianwen will lose to me, you can also personally take part. Me too? The first prince frowned. That's right. I will refine 2 furnaces of pills, while you and Zhang Tianwen will each refine 1 furnace. As long as the 2 of you succeed before me, it will be your victory. Ningyu explained, on the contrary, if I refine 2 furnaces of pills before the 2 of you, then regretfully, I'll have to ask you to leave the Heaven Yuan building. Shameless boasting. Arrogant. The first prince and Zhang Tianwen berated the moment Ningyu's words rang out. Even old Tan and Ren Xiangtian felt that Ningyu was very arrogant. In the second Yuan room, only one person saw Ningyu in a different light and felt that Ningyu had the ability to do so. This person was the peak primal core martial artist. He lifted his head to look at Ningyu and mumbled, His soul energy is very strong, even comparable to mine. What an interesting kid. Why, are you guys afraid now? Ningyu pursed his lips and said lightly, Don't boast in the future, lest others look down on you. Who says we don't dare? Today, I'd like to see if you have the right to be arrogant. The first prince snorted and said, What kind of pills do you want to refine? 4th grade pills or 5th grade pills? I don't care. Your soul energy is only at the beginning stage of 4th grade. In my opinion, you should refine 4th grade pills, Ningyu said. All right, let's refine the true martial pill. The first prince turned to Old Tan and said, Old Tan, we want to refine the true martial pill, please. Wait a moment, I'll go prepare the herbs. Old Tan interrupted the first prince, and his palm tore through the air and disappeared instantly. A moment later, Old Tan returned to the room with a storage bag in his hand. Swish, 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 swish. Old Tan flicked his wrist and 4 sets of herbs appeared on the table. These are 4 sets of herbs for refining the true martial pill. You guys will refine the pill here and I'll be the judge, Old Tan said in a clear voice. Get ready first. We'll start refining the true martial pill in 5 minutes. Zhang Tianwen glared fiercely at Ningyu, then reached into his robe and took out a white pill furnace. Whoosh! The moment Zhang Tianwen took out the white cauldron, the martial artists in the second Yuan room all looked shocked. White demon cauldron! Zhang Tianwen has a white demon cauldron. This is unbelievable. The White Demon Cauldron is ranked 55th on the Earth list of cauldrons. It's extremely precious. With Zhang Tianwen's status as a 5th-grade alchemist and the White Demon Cauldron, he'll be able to refine the true martial pill in 15 minutes at most. The envious comments from the surrounding martial artists made Zhang Tianwen raise his eyebrows and look at Ningyu. However, when he saw that Ningyu didn't even look at him, he scoffed and picked up a set of herbs on the table, preparing to refine the pill. On the other side, the first prince flicked his sleeve and a small cauldron appeared in his hand. Then, he slowly injected his soul power into the cauldron. As he injected his soul power, the cauldron gradually grew until it was the same size as Zhang Tianwen's White Demon Cauldron. Scorpion Cauldron. Looking at the cauldron in the first prince's hand, the martial artists in the rooms were shocked again. This time, even the martial arts practitioners at the peak of the primal core stage were shocked. The Scorpion Cauldron was ranked 30th on the list of cauldrons. Although the first prince's soul power was only at the beginning stage of 4th grade, with the Scorpion Cauldron, he might even be able to refine the true martial pill before Zhang Tianwen. Whoosh! Just like Zhang Tianwen, the first prince picked up a set of herbs on the table and retreated to the side. Zhang Tianwen and the first prince both took out their cauldrons, and the crowd turned their attention to Ningyu, wanting to see what grade Ningyu's cauldron was. After all, Ningyu had spoken arrogantly, so his cauldron should also be on the list of cauldrons, right? Ningyu ignored the gazes from the surrounding cultivators and walked over to the 6th prince, Ouyang Yuan. As soon as Ningyu opened his mouth, the surrounding martial artists were dumbfounded. Chapter 447. Everyone is shocked, 6th prince, please lend me an alchemy cauldron. As soon as Ningyu said this, everyone in VIP Booth 2, including Elder Tan and the Peak Primal Core Warrior, had their mouths agape. Their eyes were filled with incredulity. How come Ningyu didn't even have an alchemy cauldron? What was the difference between an alchemist without an alchemy cauldron and a swordsman without a sword? Ah! Zhang Tianwen was the first to lose it. He guffawed and said, "You don't even have an alchemy cauldron and you're dreaming of making the true martial pill? If you know what's good for you, you'd better admit defeat before you lose." Zhang Tianwen, remember not to underestimate anyone. The eldest prince was much calmer. He waved at Zhang Tianwen and said, "Who knows, he might be able to make the true martial pill without an alchemy cauldron." Yes. Zhang Tianwen's reaction was a little exaggerated. He smiled and said, "Don't underestimate anyone." What is Ningyu up to? Other than the eldest prince and Zhang Tianwen, Ren Xiangtian was also puzzled. Without an alchemy cauldron, the speed of making the true martial pill will drop by at least 30%. As the genius of the alchemy union, Ren Xiangtian knew the importance of having an alchemy cauldron. It could be said that if he changed his alchemy cauldron to make the true martial pill, his speed would drop as well. Borrowing an alchemy cauldron? Haha, what an interesting kid. The peak primal core warrior smiled and said, I'm looking forward to sparring with you now, whether it's alchemy or martial arts. Sixth Prince, don't you have an alchemy cauldron? Ignoring the crowd, Ningyu extended his hand and waved it in front of Ouyang Yuan. That's a shame. I don't have an alchemy cauldron, so I'll have to borrow one from someone else. Yes, I have an alchemy cauldron. Ouyang Yuan returned to his senses and hurriedly took out a palm-sized cauldron and handed it to Ningyu, saying, This cauldron is only the 110th cauldron on the ranking of young masters, is it all right? In fact, it wasn't that Ouyang Yuan didn't want to lend his personal pill furnace to Ningyu. It was because his personal pill furnace had a soul imprint engraved on it. Unless the imprint was removed, Ningyu wouldn't be able to use it. Fortunately, he had a pill furnace that was ranked 110 on the human list. Otherwise, he really didn't know what to do. No problem, any pill furnace will do. Taking the cauldron from Ouyang Yuan's hands, Ningyu thanked him before walking to the table and picking up the remaining 2 sets of medicinal ingredients. Old Tan had mentioned that they had 5 minutes to prepare before refining the pill. These 5 minutes were dispensable to Ningyu. He didn't care and wasn't prepared. You're not even preparing? Isn't he a little too arrogant? Hee, I wonder what expression Ningyu will have when he fails. Of course, it's definitely the color of pig liver. Cough cough. At this moment, Old Tan coughed and said, 5 minutes have passed. Next, you guys can start refining the true martial pill. Swoosh. As soon as Old Tan's voice fell, Zhang Tianwen immediately threw the white fiend pill furnace into the air and a red flame appeared on his left hand. Red patterned flame. Zhang Tianwen actually has the red patterned flame. That's a flame ranked 420th on the Mystic Flame list. With the red patterned flame and the white fiend pill furnace, combined with Zhang Tianwen's 5th grade midstage soul force, I guess he can refine the true martial pill in 10 minutes. 10 minutes? In my opinion, 9 minutes at most. The shock that Zhang Tianwen gave everyone was really one after another. First was the white fiend pill furnace ranked 55th on the Earth list. Then he took out the red patterned flame, ranked 420th on the Mystic Flame list. Putting everything else aside, in terms of equipment, Zhang Tianwen had already completely defeated Ningyu. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Zhang Tianwen controlled the red patterned flame to continuously burn the bottom of the white fiend pill furnace. At the same time, he grabbed a medicinal pill with his right hand and carefully placed it into the pill furnace. Chi. In just 10 seconds, Zhang Tianwen had successfully refined the medicinal pill. Swoosh. On the other side, the eldest prince threw the scorpion pill furnace above his head, and a red flame appeared on his left hand. Seeing the red flame in the eldest prince's hand, the surrounding martial artists revealed a shocked expression again. Red scorpion flame. I didn't expect the eldest prince to really have the red scorpion flame. That's a flame ranked 350th on the Mystic Flame list. The red scorpion flame and the scorpion pill furnace are one. Using the two together will yield twice the result with half the effort. Although the eldest prince's soul force is relatively low, with the red scorpion flame and the scorpion pill furnace, he will only need 8 minutes at most to refine the true martial pill. The shock that the eldest prince gave the surrounding martial artists was even more intense than Zhang Tianwen's. Whether it was the red scorpion flame or the scorpion pill furnace, they were both priceless treasures. At the very least, ordinary 6th grade alchemists didn't have these things. The eldest prince raised his eyebrows and smiled at Ningyu. He then grabbed a medicinal ingredient and threw it into the pill furnace, starting to refine the true martial pill. Zhang Tianwen and the eldest prince started to refine the true martial pill, but Ningyu acted as if nothing had happened and started to inspect the pill furnace that Ouyang Yuan had given him. Although Ningyu said that any pill furnace was fine, the prerequisite was that he had to have a good understanding of pill furnaces. After all, there were only 2 sets of medicinal ingredient. If one of the furnaces failed, it would be a huge embarrassment. Ningyu would never allow such a thing to happen. Therefore, he carefully inspected the pill furnace. 3 minutes later, Ningyu withdrew his soul force from the pill furnace and nodded slightly. A pill furnace ranked 110 on the ranking list of young masters. It's suitable for refining the true martial pill. Ningyu threw the pill furnace into the air, then both his hands started to work at the same time, grabbing medicinal ingredients and throwing them into the pill furnace. In just a few moments, Ningyu had thrown all the medicinal ingredients into the pill furnace. What is Ningyu doing? How can he refine a true martial pill like this? Absolutely impossible, throwing medicinal ingredients into the pill furnace. If he can refine a true martial pill, I will twist my head off. Most of the martial artists in the room were geniuses of the capital. Some of them had profound martial arts cultivation, some had powerful soul force, and they were all high-level alchemists. In the eyes of these alchemists, Ningyu's method of refining the true martial pill was completely nonsense. Not to mention the true martial pill, with his method, even a first-grade pill would be difficult to refine. Ha ha, Ningyu, have you lost your mind? Zhang Tianwen didn't forget to take a look at Ningyu during the intervals of refining the pills. Especially when he saw Ningyu's method of refining pills, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. If you have lost your mind, go back and get treated, otherwise. What? However, just when Zhang Tianwen was about to mock Ningyu, he saw something extremely shocking. He stood in the same place, raised his wrist and pointed at Ningyu with an extremely horrified look on his face. Chapter 448. For minutes Ningyu had sharp eyes and nimble hands, instantly flashing up and grabbing the 2 medicinal pills in his hand. Then, Ningyu opened his palm and the 2 true martial pills appeared in front of everyone. Looking at the round elixir in Ningyu's hand, the spacious number 2 yuan room instantly quietened down. Everyone's mouths were slightly agape and their faces were filled with disbelief. Gulp! After a while, someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva and the originally quiet room became noisy. Ningyu really refined the true martial pill? It is indeed the true martial pill and the quality has reached supreme grade. What supreme grade true martial pill? It has only been 4 minutes and Ningyu actually refined the supreme grade true martial pill? Ningyu's alchemy level has actually reached this level. Even if Danshinzi was at this age, it would be impossible to refine a true martial Dan so easily. Ningyu's future achievements are destined to be higher than Danshinzi's. Let's not talk about this. Look at Zhang Tianwen's face, it looks like a pig's liver. Swish! Everyone's gaze shifted from Ningyu to Zhang Tianwen. At this moment, Zhang Tianwen stood blankly on the spot, his eyes dull and his face full of confusion. If someone had told him in the past that Ningyu could refine the true martial pill in 4 minutes, he would definitely have scoffed at it. However, Ningyu had truly refined the true martial Dan, and there were still 10 seconds left before the 4 minutes mark. In other words, Ningyu refined the true martial pill in less than 4 minutes. Impossible, this is impossible! Suddenly, Zhang Tianwen shouted, "There's something wrong with the cauldron." The 2 true martial pills in Ningyu's hands must have been placed in the cauldron long ago. Whoosh! Zhang Tianwen's words caused a huge uproar at the scene. Everyone's gaze shifted to Ningyu again and soon to Elder Tan. Old Tan was the referee of this alchemy competition. Everyone's intention was obvious, to let Old Tan inspect the pill furnace. "Ningyu, let me check your cauldron," Old Tan said to Ningyu after pondering for a moment. "It's not that I don't want you to inspect the furnace, it's just that the first prince is refining the true martial Dan. If I waste time here, who will be responsible if I fail?" Ningyu pointed at the first prince and said. The first prince was a very shrewd person. Even though Ningyu had refined the true martial Dan, it did not have any effect on him. From the start of the alchemy until now, 4 minutes had passed. The first prince had already completely refined the medicinal ingredient. According to his speed, he would probably be able to refine the true martial Dan in another 4 to 5 minutes. Ningyu was not stupid. Once the eldest imperial prince successfully refined the true martial pill, wouldn't he be defeated? Ha ha ha, Ningyu, you have a guilty conscience. You don't dare to let old Tan inspect the furnace. Zhang Tianwen laughed. Ningyu, I know that doing this might be a bit of a waste of time. Don't worry, I will inspect it as fast as I can. I won't waste too much of your time. Old Tan said in a deep voice. It was obvious that he was determined to inspect the furnace. In fact, Old Tan also felt that it was inconceivable. Refining the true martial Dan in 4 minutes was something he had never heard of. The old ancestor of the imperial family had personally refined a true martial Dan some time ago. Even with the old ancestor's peak level of alchemy, it still took him 5 minutes to refine the true martial Dan. The quality of the true martial Dan was the same as the one Ningyu had refined. Therefore, in Old Tan's opinion, Ningyu was definitely cheating. Due to the large number of people here, it was not good for him to say it himself. He felt that he should leave some face for Ningyu. It's not impossible to inspect my furnace, but you have to inspect Zhang Tianwen and the first princes as well, Ningyu said in a deep voice. What a joke. Not wasting time? To hell with it. Ningyu made up his mind in his heart. If he wanted to inspect, he would inspect all 3 pill furnaces together. Otherwise, he would not inspect anyone. Please cooperate a little. Old Tan's expression was somewhat gloomy. Originally, he wanted to leave some face for Ningyu. Who would have thought that Ningyu would not appreciate the face he gave and instead opposed him? Since he did not stop with his good words, then Old Tan planned to use force. In the next moment, Old Tan took a step out and stood in front of Ningyu. Swoosh! Old Tan's action made Ouyang Yuan's expression extremely ugly. His figure flashed and blocked in front of Ningyu. The pill furnace was given to Ningyu by me. Could it be that Old Tan doesn't even believe me? Ouyang Yuan said coldly. Old Tan seemed to be making things difficult for Ningyu, but in reality, he was included in it as well. How could he not be angry? How could he not be angry? Sixth Prince, this matter has nothing to do with you. Old Tan's expression was solemn as he said, There's definitely no problem with your pill furnace. I just don't quite believe in Ningyu. If Ningyu isn't guilty, why won't he let me inspect the pill furnace? Hoo-hoo, words that are rather nice to hear. Ningyu smiled faintly and said, If you want to incriminate someone, you can always find a pretext. Today, I want to see how you inspect my pill furnace. The fury in Ningyu's heart was very great, very great. Old Tan was clearly opposing him. Towards this kind of person, he could not let him reach for a yard after taking an inch. Ningyu could conclude that Old Tan would definitely say that there was a problem with the pill furnace. Ignoring Old Tan, Ningyu threw the pill furnace into the air and casually grabbed the medicinal herbs, throwing all of them into the pill furnace. After such a torment, another minute passed. The eldest prince by the side was already about to form the pill. If he continued to delay, it would only be disadvantageous to him. Ningyu was not a fool and naturally understood this logic. Want to inspect the pill? Sure, wait until I refine the second batch of true martial pill. Humph. Looks like you really have a problem. Fine, I'll snatch your pill furnace first and then carefully study it. Seeing that Ningyu was ignoring him, Old Tan snorted coldly. Both his feet stepped on the ground and his palm grabbed straight at the pill furnace in the air. Could it be that Ningyu really has a guilty conscience? Inside the box, Ren Xiangtian's brows were tightly knitted as he muttered. To be honest, Ren Xiangtian was also rather suspicious of Ningyu. Because refining a supreme-grade true martial pill in 4 minutes and using someone else's pill furnace, he had a skeptical attitude. However, as a peerless genius of the Alchemy Union, he had heard from the upper echelons of the Alchemy Union that there was a type of heaven-defying genius in this continent. Their control of soul force had reached the acme of perfection. In the Sky Fiend region, there were even people who could refine a true martial pill in 3 minutes. Furthermore, the quality was not lower than supreme grade. Although Ren Xiangtian did not believe in Ningyu, he did not kick him when he was down. Instead, he wanted to compete with Ningyu in alchemy. Refining a supreme grade true martial pill in 4 minutes? Even I might not be able to do that. Compared to Ren Xiangtian, the martial artists at the peak of the primal core stage were more shocked. In the second Yuan box, he was probably the only one who knew how difficult it was to refine a true martial pill in 4 minutes and how unbelievable it was. When Ningyu had been refining the pill, he had been watching the whole time. He could basically conclude that Ningyu did not cheat. In fact, refining a true martial pill in 4 minutes was not even Ningyu's limit. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.